If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor look too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life for broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at the beginning, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are done, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 40 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
you write women so well?
I think of a man, and I take away reason and accountability.
But what is so important about driving faster than anyone else?
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
Target acquired.
Eagle 1, first strike. You have permission to engage the target.
Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for another show. How is everyone out there? Hope everybody's well. Hope everybody's having a good time. Enjoyed the presentation, the pull-up reel, whatever you want to call it. Much like the movie theaters, I want to give people time to get in, get their popcorn, settle down, find a comfortable seated position, maybe call up some friends, invite them over, see what the fuck's going on, and basically just have a great time. Get ready, get set, fucking go. I want to really give a shout out to my man Agrillipus, who sent in 15 and then another 10. It is absolutely awesome that he did that. I really appreciate it. And welcome to being a mod, Agrillipus. He did, I didn't know he wanted to be one. He hit me up. He said, hey, if you ever need help. I said, I always need help in the chat. The chat is out of control most of the time. So we got to have some help out there. So we've got some great mods. We've got some got a great mod team. And it's going to be great going forward. Tonight is, it's just a random Wednesday, guys. It's just random. My life has been so hectic lately with, all the traveling and the response, the response to things I've got to do, just going. I'm getting behind on a lot of things I normally am never behind on. And give me 1 second, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know who this is. Telemarketers got me again. But anyway, like I was saying, I have been, I don't want to say behind the 8 ball, but I have been very, very busy lately. And it's just been crazy. It's been crazy, all of the things I've had going on. And still, tonight is going to be no different. I will be, as soon as I finish this show at 11 o'clock, I'm going to go in. I'm going to get about an hour nap, and then I've got to take my son to the airport. Got to leave it right around 2 a.m. to be at the airport at 2:30, hopefully, so that he can check in for his flight at 3. Hopefully he can check in at 2:30. That'd be fucking great. And then they board at 4:30 in the morning for a 5 a.m. flight. So this is going to be, it's going to be a long night for me. And it'll be, it's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great time. But I digress. So earlier today, I was on Glenn's show. We were talking a lot about, I missed the debate on unequally yoked marriages. I have a hard time in modernity saying that there is such a thing as an unequally yoked marriage. Myself, I see where Glenn comes from. He and I don't necessarily agree on it. But we can kind of have some conversations around some of the things that that he talked about, and naturally, you know, we're not going to agree on everything. It's fine. It's fine. What is up, Anson Knowles? I saw you slide in there. What is up, sir? Let's talk a little bit more about Florida. Glenn has Glenn's thrown out some video, mostly of me just sitting there having breakfast, and that was cool. But the actual video that we did with Gia McCool was top shelf in my opinion. It's really awesome, and had a great time. Meeting Gia, meeting her brother Aaron Reed, and basically just having a great couple of great afternoon really, because it was a really rushed thing. Let's go ahead and see who is in the chat tonight. I really didn't welcome the chat. I just kind of jumped right into some stuff. So let's let me scroll. Do the scroll of death. Steelman was in the chat first. How about that? But he didn't like the stream. What's up with that? Agrillipus was second in the chat. Been a member for 3 months. Thank you very much, sir. It means a lot that you are. And he did send that 15, as I mentioned earlier, he did send $15 in a mad grift. We appreciated that. Steelman and Smoking Spaceman were having a good time in chat earlier as well. El Shipo Dago came in, and hopefully he's still hanging out and enjoying the show. Man. And then we had Agrillipus donate that second $10. Lord of Pies came in. Said that he'll be back when we decide to start the show. We always start the show on time every time, and but I do have an opening ceremony kind of deal. 13 is up in the chat. Good to see you, sir. As I mentioned, Smoking Spaceman is in the house. We have a lot of really good mods here, and they do a great job. Chairman of the board, Anson Knowles, is probably listening in secret. And we had Ghost 1978 pop in, say hello. Hi, everyone. What's up, Ghost 1978? And Lewicki is in the house. Good to see you. Don't know that I've seen you, but that's okay. Welcome, sir. Have a great time during the show. Really, we may have some people up to chat later. I was actually kind of hoping Glenn would be popping around so we could get him up. Because earlier on his panel, there was a bunch of, look, the panels get out of control sometimes, and I'm not going to fight I'm not going to fight to talk to mediocre people. The grid misinformation. Wow, we got a lot of misinformation going on, and how about? By the way, guys, I'm gonna veer off here for a minute. How amazing was it that Trump straight up said that Iran and Iraq have been fighting and hating each other for so long they don't know what the fuck they're doing? Does it get any better than that? That was awesome. That was just amazing. Trump has had it. He's had it with the courts fighting him. He has had. I'll tell you what, man. We're gonna see some stuff coming down the pipe. We're gonna see some stuff. I feel like it's a great clip. It really puts things in it, and the whole clip is really great. Where he's talking about, I'm not happy with Iran, but I'm not happy with Israel either. Israel did blah 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 blah. I'm not happy with Israel, and the whole little interview there as he's getting on the helicopter is gold. And it really puts things in perspective, because for so long you've had people out there that have been able to say, well, Trump's a puppet of Israel. Trump is getting paid by Israel. Israel has dirt on Trump, Epstein's Island bullshit. And I got to be honest, man, none of that shit flies. None of it flies. So it's been a great week overall. Been a lot of fun. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff I talked about the other night, which is some of the stuff that we got into about marriage and that sort of thing while I was in Florida. I also want to talk, and it's unfortunate I didn't have time to reach out to Kinetic Kel and some of the other ladies that come on the show to see if they wanted to come up on stream, and because I really I'm planning on having an interview with Gia McCool, and hopefully so I want to have Gia on the traditional, more conventional marriage side, and I'd really like to have kind of a center left, don't need, they don't want to be married, or they don't think about marriage, if marriage is a trap, whatever. I'd really like to get that dichotomy there, because what I really want to discuss is not actually marriage, but what I really want to discuss with them is, have a discussion with these two ladies, is why is it that the further we go down this path, the less feminine women are. And I had a really great insight into that. I was flying home, and I'm sitting there surrounded by women who are trying, basically they're obviously women, but they're very masculine, they're very businesslike and all this kind of thing, and which is fine. In the middle of it, one of my friends sends me this I don't know what she's like a car hobby influencer, I guess. He doesn't really actually do anything as far as cars go, except be cute and entertaining. Super feminine, though. It's really amazing how feminine she was. And I was like, yeah, where's the femininity gone? Women demand that men be more and more masculine, or at least somewhat masculine, or at least they say they want masculine men. But where is the femininity? Where's the softness? Where's the approachability? Where's the vulnerability? I really want to have that discussion with Gia and someone else. I'm slated to do a show with Glenn Lawrence. Can't really talk about it until he says it's okay to do so, but it's going to be a great show. It's going to be kind of based around the idea of what's up with the black pill people. So, Anson, why do you keep redacting your own post? That's weird. What's up with that? Why do you keep doing that? That's crazy, man. It's like Anson is it's like Anson is just being weird. Ashton Alwine, whatever. What's up, dude? How you doing? Do I know you? I mean, I could. I know a lot of people. Anson, you're not being all ninja. Like we can all see you. Like, what's up with you? So anyway, that's what's going to be coming up over the next couple of weeks, guys. Obviously, we're going to do the debate show Friday. It will be back to normal. While obviously we had a lot of technical difficulties with the show on Friday because I was out of town. I had to actually go buy a laptop because of reasons. And but the show just didn't do as well. The show really didn't do as well last week, so we gotta. There's obviously we need to go backwards before we go forwards again. Ashton Alwine, holy shit, yeah, man. I mean, I just say it like it looks. New to my channel, but watch some of my content. Well, hey, man, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I hope it was good. You know, hope you liked it. Ghost 1978 says the traditional feminine women are at the retirement home where they're taking it with them. Good luck, guys. You know, you're not wrong. You know, you're not wrong about that. But meeting Gia McCool and talking to her, when you guys see the discussion that Glenn, her and I had, you're gonna be. It's really good. And honestly, Gia and I had a great. We were there, and not not disagreement, but we had a great rapport. We're able to comment on some of the same points, and when we did have where we didn't share the exact same viewpoint, we're able to articulate the differences. Welcome as a member for 10 months, 13. I seen chairman of the board chat. He's hiding under the bleachers. He's here. He's back there with the fat girl under the bleachers, just like in high school. Just like in high school. I love some of the super chats on whatever. And Andrew Wilson, sure, yeah. I mean, I make reasonable comments, here and there. So, but that's kind of what's going to be going on over the next couple of weeks. Now tonight, as I said, it's a random night. My son is going to Philmont for the next. I think he's gone a total of 13 days, 12 or 13 days. They hike 69 miles over 10 days. So that's going to be awesome. And, so I got to get up in the morning and take care of, I'm not even probably going to go to sleep tonight, to be honest with you. So that's, I got work to do. I got to make sure he has all of his gear. We last minute had to replace a backpack, he's a little stressed out, but it's going to be cool. And I mean, it's Philmont, man. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. It's a good time. Can't wait. He can't wait. It's awesome. What's up, Doomerang? I see you out there, my friend. Good to see you. But I heard you do a debate on Friday or Saturdays, open panel for anyone. Yes, absolutely. This is my YouTube channel. And the debate happens here. So you just come back, same bat channel, same bat time. And so we do a debate competition. It's a blood sport debate, single elimination round robin debate championship. Yeah. And we crown a winner every time. There's nobody just goes home with like 3 winners or anything like that shit. So, yeah. What's up, chairman of the Anson? Why don't you come up here? You've got the keys. I know you can do it. Come on up here and hang out, man. ZD Den, it was awesome to hear you on the panel. Matter of fact, if you want to come up and talk, it would be my pleasure to do that. I will have I'll have a mod reach out to you over in Discord if you would like. If you can't do it in Discord, we'll post it. We'll post a link in the chat for you. You lost your keys under the bleachers. No, you didn't. The fat girl's back there, and we all know it. We all know it. That's okay, Smoking Spaceman. We'll get it in there later. Yeah, I get it. 409. I actually thought what I saw of it before I went to sleep, it was awesome, to be honest. It wasn't the content, it was the structure of it just didn't really I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I got to talk to Anson about it. Come on up, Anson. We'll see you later. Yeah. Yeah, I got you there, bud. Well, oh yeah, you can't see it yet. There you go. Not camming up. You're totally fine not camming up, ZD Den. Do the people have to have YouTube channels? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not, Ashton. You do not have to have your own YouTube channel. You click the link and you're on board. So you'll come up in a minute. All right, that's fine. So ZD Den's got the link. You don't have to cam up. That's fine. ZD Den. I really am. What do you guys think about requiring in the debate show, requiring competitors to be on camera? What do you think about that? Because that was originally my rule, and I haven't said it the last. I only said it, I think, the first night that you needed to cam up. But what do you guys think about that? What's up, Abe? I need your opinion, man. So, what do you think? Do you think we should? Think you should make them cam up? Because in a debate, if you can't read the other guy's expression and all of that, you're kind of at a disadvantage. So I'm kind of curious about it. I know you do. Abe. And obviously I'm always on cam. I don't believe in that. The only time I'm not on cam is when I'm in my car and I just don't know that it'll work. I understand cam up will limit the participants, but I feel like it's a better show. I'm more about the better show, guys. And because I think the better the show, the more participants I end up with. Right? Like the better the show, the more people want to be a part of it. So right, yeah, Cleaner 409. I've noticed that. That's actually part of my reasoning behind that is I've noticed that Cleaner, who doesn't really cam up very often, always cams up when he is debating someone. Chairman of the board, none of our ladies have OF handles, but you do. So yeah, cams are better for clips and view, all of that. So, Glenn's comment, I don't know what you're saying. So, I think if you're serious about debating, I think you want to cam up, right? So, yeah, I'm going to put some thought into this, guys. I'm glad I asked the question. I'm glad it came up, actually. Glad it came up. You want them to remember the face of their destroyer. That's awesome. That is awesome. For sure. That works for me. Yeah. And what's interesting is like when I had all of the leftists have cammed up. Like I don't care if you just sit there and you're just chilling and we're just just chatting and you're cammed down, but when you're actually debating, you should cam up. I think that's the way it should happen. By the way, I talked to Grace Thorpe the other day, guys. I was bored. I think I was in the airport or something, and they were live, and I asked her to come over and participate Friday night. She said she would. I actually haven't sent her a message. So it would be interesting to see if it would actually be very interesting to see if she actually does show up, because I think I think that I've never actually seen Grace herself debate. I don't think I don't think she's ever. I don't think I've ever seen Grace actually debate. All right. Poll is live. 5x5. Vibe. Oh, Vibe. Yeah, that's right, man. What's up, man? It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Vibe, if you would like to come up for tonight's show, you are welcome to do so. Hit somebody up in the Discord, and they'll get you the link. It's in the mod chat. Pretty sure I put it in the mod chat. Make sure. Hell yeah, it's in the mod chat. The mods can make it happen for you. If you want to be on the show tonight, I'm going to open the panel night. Fuck it, why not? If you want to be on the show, now obviously it's my discretion. However, the link is in the mod chat. So what you need to do is go over to the Discord. It's the shed. Go to the waiting room and say, "Yo, give me a link," and somebody will DM you a link. So, yeah. Well, I appreciate you thinking I'm an excellent debate moderator. I think I just do okay, and honestly, the moderation is the easiest part. If I'm being real about it, moderation is like, it's not hard at all. The only hard part about it is, to be honest, is just kind of knowing when to interrupt, and it's not that hard. But I guess there are really bad debate moderators out there that make me look awesome. So Agrillipus, I don't think you have access to the. Let me see something here. Let me manage. Okay. Let's see here. I think you should be able to see the mod chat now, Agrillipus. What's up, Glenn Lawrence? How the hell are you, sir? We're just talking about you. Just talking about you. So. Live streams don't seem affected yet by. I'm not sure what that was referenced. Let me create an event. I don't think here. Hang out, stand by. I'm gonna help you out here. This is kind of bad TV. All right, I'll deal with that in a second. What didn't I do wrong? I don't know. Oh, YouTube patch, yeah. What's up, Glenn? We're just talking about you. We're talking about Florida a little bit. He was hurting. Glenn was hurting. I'm not going to lie to you. Glenn wasn't happy. right, guys. Glenn has asked me to drop a link. Ladies in the chat, if you would, please, and if you haven't already, please take this quiz. Just go over there, take the quiz, and just fill it out honestly. There's no gotcha here. It's just, and it's just for the ladies that are actually ladies, just in case specific people are lurking. So, but yeah, if you don't mind, just go take that quiz that Glenn has out there. So yeah. Oh, the TOS AI algorithm has been reworked. That's interesting. Nice. I hope I don't break any rules. What's up from Bumbly? Good to see you. So, I appreciate that, Cleaner 409. If you would let me know what your opinions are on it, since I probably won't glean the same things that you glean out of it. So, all right. I had a did ZD Den get a link? Maybe she's having trouble with her connecting with the Talk Studio rather than the StreamYard. What's up, Anthony Knowles? How the hell are you, sir?
Man, I'm all messed up.
Wow, that's a massive amount of reverb in there.
Yeah, is that any better?
That is way better. It literally sounded like you're about to break into some Jim Croce there.
Yeah, well, if I could put time in a bottle, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All the reverbs.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So how the hell you been, man?
Man, I'm exhausted. I've been doing too much online shit. I think I'm going to take some time off the internet and pretend like, it don't exist for a little while.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's one of the reasons why, my wife was actually talking to me the other night about how, there's a marked difference in how I'm doing things now versus this time last year. Last year, I was on all the time. And this year, I'm on 3 hours at a time generally. I do 5 days a week, sometimes not even that. And but the real kicker is that I don't go on nearly as many shows as I used to.
Well, yeah, but like you're a more social person than I am. I'm an introvert. And
you're a troll too, and you derive a weird sense of pleasure out of trolling people when there's nothing wrong with that. I think the internet needs that to some degree, but that can kind of wear on someone too. Like you've been trolling a lot lately, I've noticed.
Oh, well, I don't know. I just do what feels good, I'm living my best life. I'm on my
living your dream, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what do you think why do you think femininity seems to have left the chat? Why do you think that modern women are so much less feminine than ever before? Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, the same reason why modern men are less masculine, right? The necessity, yeah, the increases in technology and the way that we live our life in the Western society are less traditional because it's not necessary because we're more advanced culture, right? So that's it goes along with the whole not breeding thing, right? And so the women. So yeah, if you really want to know what I think, so the women are educated and they have economic opportunities and they have the pill. So they have like all of the things that men used to have. And so why wouldn't they act more like the way that men used to act?
Mm-hmm.
Like in order to get femininity back, we just basically have to stop educating the women and take their pills away from them and tell them they can't have stuff anymore. Do it like Africa does.
Okay. I mean, you're really not. I mean, I don't really disagree with any of that. It was just interesting. Like I said, I don't know if you were here. I don't know if you
I was.
I said earlier. It's very interesting that our American Western culture is so messed up, is so backwards. And we, for whatever reason, we seem to think that that's an advantage, right? That somehow we're winning.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're winning except for the whole breeding thing.
Well, I mean, we're winning fine. We're winning on the world stage in a way because we've manipulated the petrodollar, and we literally tank entire countries' economies just to park our debt.
Well, I mean, we're not winning though, Grid. I mean, we have the illusion.
I was being quite facetious there, right? Like it's not winning if we have to go destroy another country's entire economy to park our debt. That's not winning. Are we winning?
Our economy, if you look at our debt to GDP ratio, is closer to France's economy prior to World War I. Right? In terms of percentage wise, we're not like the same country we were at the beginning or end of World War II in terms of our financial security. And generally what determines the outcome of a war is the economic health of a nation, not the militaristic health of the nation, not the number of weapons they have and not the size of their military, but the ability for them to outlast their opponent in a war of attrition. And we don't have that anymore. So from my perspective, we don't have military strength either, because military strength is economic strength. They're not separate things. Okay.
I'll have to dwell on that one. I think they are separate, but I think they're certainly linked but they're separate. So let me kind of just completely switch, because I see what Cleaner says, that we dig holes in other people's mountains at will. So have you seen the latest, Anson, that the people are I don't know, naysayers, I guess, whatever, who are basically saying that it's just like WMD's in Kuwait, that there's never any nuclear material there. There's no radioactivity in the air, none of that. And people are buying into this. I believe that the science or the reality, either way you want to look at it, is that they were developing nuclear material. It was 300 feet minimum under the ground, and it's now buried under 300 feet of rubble. And so you're not going to get it's not like it was a nuclear bomb that exploded, that where there's all this radioactive material in the air. So what's your perception on that?
Well, my perception is that how do I put it? There are unintended consequences to any action, right?
Sure.
You can't know what the future is. And our track record of intervening in any of the Middle East's internal struggles or the power struggles between the regional powers there, like Iran and Israel, that's all they are. It's a regional power dispute. And us sticking our thumb on the scale will have negative consequences in one way or another. I don't know what they are, because I can't predict the future. But
sure.
I mean, the very existence of Iran as an anti-American entity is because we put our thumb on the scale.
Yeah. Okay. Agree. However,
And so, what specifically related to the nuclear material?
Mhm.
So the bunker buster bomb that was used was not rated to be able to go through that much reinforced concrete inside of a mountain. Even in the most ideal test scenarios that it was tested in, it couldn't have, even dropping multiple bombs, because the physics of dropping bombs in a crater basically diminishes the returns that you get from each bomb. And what ends up happening is that you basically just make a bigger crater that's wider, and it's not, how do I put it? We didn't destroy their facility. Like we attacked 3 of them. We could have gotten 2 of them, but we didn't get the big one that had the nuclear material in it. We could have delayed them being able to access it for a period of time, something like that. But what I think is more likely. Sure. What I think is more likely is that we were broadcasting our bomber movements, and if Iran has any competency whatsoever, they would have taken their material and moved it somewhere else. I mean,
that's certainly plausible. That's a very plausible thing. I don't know. Well, let me kind of switch. Let me kind of switch up a little bit. What do you think about Trump's interview as he was getting on the helicopter?
Yeah, where he was acting like he wasn't a shill for Israel. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. He goes and does the bidding of Israel, and then he pretends like he's not doing their bidding. Yeah, that guy's a phony. Orange Man bad. Yeah, I'm anti Orange Man now.
Okay, all right.
I'm on the radical leftist hate Orange Man.
Good. Well now, I Killed Earl will date you.
I doubt that.
Well, I mean, she'll publicly date you, not she's the secret thing you got going on.
I ain't got nothing secret going on, Grid.
Okay, all right.
I ain't got nothing going on with that lady.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's like I said, it's an interesting thing. It's just been so much interesting stuff going on. And of course, I've been busy. So I went to sleep halfway through the show Friday night. Andrew had to call and wake me up to kill the stream, which was hilarious. What was your run through the show for me? How did you think it went? I haven't even looked at it yet.
Well, there were some glitches every time you came in, and it disrupted the flow a little bit, because like you would drop out and then everybody would have to get put back in.
Right. Well, what would happen if I switched windows to like look at Discord or something, for whatever reason, when because I was doing it from my phone, when I would switch windows or tabs or whatever you want to call it, it would just disconnect, and then as soon as I switch back, it would reconnect. So
well, in terms of the actual show, we had more engagement from different people in terms of super chats, which was, like having the lower price structure is what I would expect. We had a smaller audience for a portion of it than normal.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I think that if we had higher audience numbers, it probably would have been a little bit better. But in terms of the actual flow of the show, I mean, you had a world-class fill-in moderator for you.
That's true. That's true. And I did, and he couldn't show up, but I got Anson, and Anson did a great job of filling in.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And I appreciate you letting me have half of your keys. If I had the other half and I had complete control over everything, then I think it would have worked out better. Like if you would give me the keys to your YouTube and I could just gone in there and ended your live for you,
Right.
Yeah. I mean, just, or give me your like master login.
It honestly didn't occur to me to, and it should have, it didn't occur to me to make you a manager or whatever on YouTube, which I can do. It never occurred to me to do that. But it also never occurred to me that you couldn't end the show, and which was hilarious. Andrew literally called me at like 3:00 in the morning, and he's like, "Bro, you're live, bro." I'm like, I am? He's like, yeah, they couldn't end the stream. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I got up and sure enough, it was still live. It was just too funny. It was just too funny. But I also didn't I forget sometimes that a lot of that I forget who doesn't have my number, right? Because honestly, Anson, if you do this, because I'm sure you're at your computer, just Google Grid One Motorsports.
Yeah. No, I've got the ability to track down who you are, and
Yeah.
I know what your name is.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, you're not somebody that's hard to find. I get that, but
I am absolutely not hard to find. If you can't find me, you certainly are not trying. Now, actually finding me like where I live and stuff, that's pretty hard. But
not for an accountant.
Yeah, maybe.
I've had to look up all kinds of information doing tax work for people.
Yeah, you could have called me through Discord too, but
but
that actually probably would have taken it offline.
Well, I don't know, but we had gotten to the point where, like, we were trying to figure it out, and we couldn't figure it out in the back room, and we made sure that the chat was locked down.
Yeah,
and so nothing bad could happen to your channel. And so from my perspective, like, there was no ability to damage you, so it was fine to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we did. Like, and I could have called you from Discord, but Grid, you needed your beauty sleep. I mean, you were going to be up in a few hours.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was fine. I woke up, I got up, turned it off, went right back to sleep. No problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm not in the habit of calling people if they haven't given me their number, because it's kind of an invasion of privacy.
Sure.
You know.
Absolutely.
And chicks really don't like that. I figured that out a while ago.
That's true. That's very true. Yes, chairman is female body inspector number 23.
Yeah, I am a female body inspector, Kitty, but not yours, because you're taken, and that would be disrespectful to your man. So
yeah. So I just clarifying that. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting. How many restraining orders did that take? That's funny. Oh man, that's pretty good actually. So the video and whatnot that we did, that Glenn and I did, should be out in the next week, I think. So that's going to be really good. You're going to really like it, I think. Maybe not. So,
yeah, I'm a fan of Glenn's work. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yeah, it was a really good discussion between Gia and I and Glenn. So it worked out really well. I thought it was really well. So.
Did Glenn produce it? Was he?
So Gia recorded it. Glenn was acting as the interviewer, and Gia and I were the interviewees.
Yeah. I've got one really important question about this.
Yeah.
Who is Gia?
So Gia McCool is Aaron Reed, who played Juggernaut in Deadpool. It's his sister. And she's as near as I can tell, she's either a current or former fitness model that has become she is a very traditional person. She's become a kind of a personality on maybe Instagram or YouTube. I forget where her big audience is. And a lot of it is like workout stuff and things like that. But she's been getting more into the kind of lifestyle, not necessarily politics, but, the traditional versus non-traditional and all of that, especially concerning marriage. Twitter, she's mostly Twitter. And she's getting and a lot into marriage and relationship stuff. And at some point, and I don't know why, and Glenn could explain better, she ran afoul of Rollo Tomasi. Rollo Tomasi makes fun of her, calls her nothing more than a bimbo and a fitness model. And obviously she doesn't know anything. And this is my opinion of Rollo Tomasi has absolutely gone into the gutter. I don't think he's a good person. I used to think he was at least a rational person. I think that he is actually, I think he's really a delusional individual. And I am really, I've come to the conclusion that if he probably doesn't hate women, but he is anti-women.
Well, do you have any idea how many people have told me you're a misogynist, Grid?
Oh, I am a misogynist. That's 100%.
I mean, I don't know how many times I've had to sit and listen to people say that you hate women. Like it happens all the time. Like
sure, but I don't go after female creators, especially creators in my same space, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're pretty open to everybody.
Well, I mean, I am who I am. I can't. I mean, if people don't like me, that's fine. I've had a lot of people tell me that I hate women. I mean, I literally, that's actually one of the first. It's usually one of like the first things that people that have never actually watched any of my shows say is, I heard you hate women, or I watched this clip, this sound, but whatever, and you obviously you hate women, so why is it? Which is patently false. But Tomasi, like it's, I faced Tomasi down a little bit over on Chaotic Truth one day, and I called him out that he has nothing good to say about Pearl. And as a matter of fact, he attacks Pearl all the time. Now, I'm going to say that I don't agree with a lot of things that Pearl says, and I think that Pearl needs some. She needs some to take some time off and come to some conclusions. But she says pretty much the exact same thing that Tomasi says, and Tomasi hates her and comes after her all the time. And it's a really interesting. Well, he may not hate her, but he acts like he hates her, and he goes after her all the time for really stupid things. And when I pointed out that he says the very things that he condemns her for saying, it was a really interesting conversation that he and I had over on Chaotic Truth. And now, kind of figuring or listening to some of the things he has said about this lady, Gia McCool, she's been married longer than I have. I think she's in her 22nd or 23rd year of marriage. Her husband is a super cool guy. Met him. He's awesome. He's not a bad guy at all, and not who you would think. And what's really interesting is this fitness model who is not my type, but most men would find her at the very least attractive, and a lot of men would find her absolutely stunning. Her husband is just like a normal dude, like just normal, not a bodybuilder, not a Chad, not he's a normal guy, and it's very interesting the whole dynamic. But she is like super based, like really, we had a great conversation about some of the problems with marriage. That it was a really great. Every bit of the conversation that I had with her was really good, and unlike a lot of really like attractive and partially famous or whatever women, we were at an event for her brother, who to launch, I don't know, some fitness products that he was launched. It was a launch party, and she was there, and she had people come up to her all the time. Hey, can you take this picture for us? Can you get in a picture with us? Whatever. And every time she'd come right back over our table, right? She didn't do the pretty woman thing of just being a social butterfly and working the room or anything like that. She actually, came over and hung out with us, right? And so that was it was just she just gives off a different vibe, and I actually don't understand why Rollo would have any problem with her or the things she says, but apparently he does, and so I don't know, man. I don't know.
You know how on those YouTube channels you can have like related affiliate channels that you promote on your channel. He has Torsia as one of the channels that he promotes. And I don't know if you've been following her content lately, but I think she's having some kind of mental breakdown.
Well, actually, Glenn and I were just talking about that. Glenn and I were just talking about how, I hadn't really heard anything out of Torsia. And after I did the one show, she really didn't she's never reached back out to me to continue the conversation. It's been a very, which is fine, but
well, I'm just saying that I don't understand how Rollo can dunk on Pearl when he's promoting someone who's obviously I've caught some of her live streams over the past few months, and she's talking about drones following her around and basically incoherent psychotic ranting. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand how he can promote that through his channel and then dunk on a different woman who he disagrees with just because they're in the same space, and he feels he's in his pride about how this woman's more successful than him in terms of subscriber counts.
Glenn and I were just talking about this, and he is right. We discussed this very thing, that Torsia does in fact have a mental illness. She's been battling it for a while. Obviously, it's not going well right now for her, and of course she goes up and down. But I had the same question. I didn't know that. I honestly did not know that that Torsia was an affiliate of Rollo. I would actually think that she would not be, but maybe I don't know. It's very interesting. So yeah. I really like Torsia. I think she's the few conversations I've had with her, she's been very nice. I want to welcome ZD Den, Tina, to the stage, and say hello. And how are you?
Great. How are you? I don't know anything about these people.
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, I know more than I want to, right? Which I was trying to stay out of it, and just whatever. I did not know.
Nicole has had to jet out of here, so I wanted to say thank you for him to give me help to get the link.
Oh yeah. Grillipus is a great. He's a great dude. He's very involved in the stream. So really happy to bring him on as a mod. Glenn says Rollo's been trying to sleep with her since the day he met her. I mean, probably. I don't know.
I don't know why. She's a butterface.
Well, we all understand your high standards, because she's just not damaged enough for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
not codependent enough.
Yeah, really. I agree, Grid. I don't want them out of touch with reality. I want them to be enmeshed with me to the point where they can't survive without my approval.
Right. It says you don't want the wounded bird. You want the one that's crippled and Anson, I got you, bro. I understand. I understand where you're coming from. I
actually thought he'd want the catatonic type, but maybe.
No, they're no fun. Come on, ZD, dude.
No, he needs them wounded and angry.
Yep.
So they throw things at him, keep him on his toes, all of that.
Yeah.
And Naomi says Anson only likes mid chicks like me. Well, I mean, if you're mid, I've never seen a picture. I think Naomi's actually cammed up on other channels. She's never cammed up on my channel. I have no idea what Naomi looks like.
It's pretty gross. You're not missing anything.
I'm mid. I think most of us are mid, honestly.
I don't even know what mid is. you know.
Normal,
So.
just normal.
I'm going to go back to the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, you know, and I understand, you know, that you can have, you know, the thing that they always say on whatever about, you know, the balance of whatever scale or whatever. But the reality is like my wife is, especially when she was younger, she was like really attractive to me. Was she the kind of woman that stepped in the room and everybody stopped talking? Sometimes, for sure, you know, but sometimes, you know, maybe not. But that's irrelevant because as far as I was concerned, all women pale in comparison to my wife. All of them. There is not a more beautiful woman than my wife.
Right.
And so that, you know, I mean, I'm just honest enough to say that out loud, right? Like it's just the way it is. I mean, it's not that I'm, you know, it's not that I'm being facetious or anything. That's really the truth. $5 from Glenn Lawrence. Whoever said beauty was in the eye of the beholder never had to hold her. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Have you ever heard this thing? I had this friend of mine who said this all the time. I don't know that I believe it. There's probably a lot of truth in it. And it was like, skinny girls look good in clothes, but thick girls look good naked. And I was like, wait a minute. Is that like the revelation that the world needs to hear?
No.
Like, no,
that's just a bunch of nonsense.
Really?
Yep.
So you like the Twiggy girls?
I honestly have no size preference for women. I mean, as long as they're female, it's fine.
Glenn Lawrence says fat girls do not look good naked. That's probably true.
The only problem I have with fat chicks is they don't taste as good. You know, that Furburger is a little salty.
Apparently Kronos is mad. Grid, you dirty. Looking the same since like 20, 30 years ago. I have actually not really changed. That's true. That's true. I you know, what can I say? I refuse to age. That's the real thing, is I just refuse. I'm like, no, They don't have to be twiggy. They could be fit, feminine, friendly. Sure. Right. But yeah. The eventual truther. Have you been a member for 9 months, dude? That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. That is really cool. I can't believe Glenn hasn't jumped up here yet. But anyway, so ZD Den, how is everything in your world? I've heard all I need to hear about Anson. Anson is Anson, but how are you?
I'm fantastic.
Excellent.
I don't know. I have a boring life. I don't, to anybody else, I think it's boring. I take care of my dad. That's what I do. He needed me and I stepped up, and that's what I do now.
Yeah. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
So it's fantastic to me, but that would be boring to anybody else. But it's
well, I mean, go ahead, Anson.
ZT Dim, what I really want to know is, honestly, from your opinion, like how awesome did I rock that debate last night? I mean, from your perspective, like I was like a 10 out of 10, right?
That's not what I heard. That's not the word on the streets.
I came in late and I missed the debate.
So you're saying that from your perspective, I didn't mess it up?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good positive attitude. I appreciate that.
Oh, Lord of Pies, good to see you in the chat, man. Sorry that you had to run off. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I was saying it's a good thing I didn't cam up because ever since I got on here, my hands keep going over my face every time Anson says something.
Leah says to calm down, Anson.
Yeah, that's because I'm always telling her to calm down in all the chat. I do that with all the women, don't I, ZD?
Yeah, she do.
It always works too, right?
Yeah, it does. It works every time. Especially with Naomi. She likes it when I tell her to calm down.
Man, I got to be honest. Well, actually, I'm going to be a little bit honest, and I actually have I would like ZD Den's perception. So we used to have a mod team here that one of them was I don't know if he's anti-woman, but he really gave the women in the chat a hard time to the point that I had multiple women telling me that they didn't feel welcome, that they were they felt kind of harassed by the mod, and would not come back to the show. And actually, it took me a while to get around to figuring this out. And of course, that mod is gone now. But did you ever feel that way, ZD Den? I'm kind of curious because you've been around basically since the beginning of me coming online, and I'm really interested in how this, what your perception is.
Well, I don't know that I'm the right person to ask because I'm the type of person that I don't take myself so seriously. So therefore, I don't take anybody else that seriously.
Okay.
So I don't get offended on here. And, if somebody's going to tell me to, go screw yourself, I'm going to say, screw yourself. I'm not going to sit there and get, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. And,
Sure.
That's
I
just
got
not
you.
me.
Okay.
So, if they're going to break balls, I'm going to break back. That's all.
Fair enough. Well, I'm glad that you never felt like you were being kind of singled out or anything.
Yeah, and I think I know who you're talking about, and I think that person took a lot of stuff that they did over from the Crucible, and if you weren't informed or experienced in that, you didn't know what was going on, and that they were just messing around. So I don't know. That's like I said, I just don't take any of this that seriously. None of it.
Okay. Good. Well, we were discussing on Glenn's show earlier today a lot about marriage, a lot about holding women accountable, and also a lot about how men need to be better. And I talked a lot during that show, which I probably should have stayed a little more quiet and just listened. But there were some really good things said and some really interesting things said. What was your takeaway? You were there for pretty much for a lot of it, at least. So,
Well, for me, every time we have these discussions, different panels, I feel like it's always swayed one way or the other, and I just feel society as a whole just they need to pull their bootstraps up. Everybody needs to, like, they talk about women and how they want to be the next boss babe, and how they want to be men, and I'm like, be men? They couldn't even be a woman from the 1930s. Forget being a man.
Yeah.
So try being a woman from the 1930s first,
Right.
and then come talk to me. But so all of this is like, for me, I think it's all of society. Men are responsible, women are responsible. I feel like we're very immature, even at the age that we're at right now, compared to the other generations. I mean, yeah, they were getting married at 14 and 15 at one time, but they were mature. They could do it. They could handle it. They were not like your 14 or 15-year-old today.
You know, that's actually something that I didn't talk about today that I probably should have, and that is the infantilization of society, especially young men. Basically, you know, and I draw this comparison in my own life. When I was when I was young, when I was 10, 11, 12, I was already, you know, going to the store by myself. I rode my bike home from school by myself. I did a lot of things, you know, just by, you know, just without my parents being really involved. And I really didn't, I didn't think anything about it. Right. Being left at home for a few hours was no big deal. Right. And now, you know, I see this even with my son, you know, where my wife kind of questions the amount of freedom that I give my son and the things I allow him to do. And where I'm like, I would give him more if I didn't think I'd get arrested. Right. Like I would, you know, I think, you know, if I gave him the freedoms that I had, more than likely, you know, you know, I would have a visit from, men in uniform that I wouldn't like. But I go back to when I was a kid, and I mean, I wasn't a kid that long in I was a kid in the 80s. I spent all day on my bike. I rode miles. I rode actually like all over the place.
Me too.
And you know, like, and nobody really knew, not necessarily knew where I was. My parents weren't that concerned about where I was, you know? And so we've had for a decade now, maybe longer, where we just have this increasing, the kids aren't ready for that. The kids aren't ready for that. You know, and I hear that all the time. And I'm like, no, you know, I mean, in Tennessee, there's a law that a kid can start babysitting at, like, I think it's 13 or 14. Like it's pretty young. And, you know, can look after his brothers or sisters or whatever, or, you know, her brothers and sister or whatever. And they can be left alone at home legally at that age. I'm sure that if anybody actually stopped to look that law up, there would be a massive amount of yelling, screaming, rending of clothing, and tears flowing from the Karens of the world about how no 13-year-old should be left in charge of young children, right? And yet we did it all the time. It's still on, the law is still on the books.
I started my babysitting at 11 years old. I was 11 and babysitting for one foster parent that had like 5 or 6 kids, and I was babysitting at 11 years old.
Yeah. I mean, but it just keeps getting worse. Now, I do see it starting to get peeled back. One of the best things that I saw in the past few years, I was in Texas at a shooting match, and this kid lived on the range. This kid was like 12 years old. He carried a knife everywhere he went. He he was driving a ranch use. I wish I got in a picture. He was driving a ranch use Suzuki Samurai with the big mud tires and lifted, and it was just, you know, something they used on the farm or the ranch there, with a dog in the back and this little kid that couldn't have been but 5 years old in the passenger seat, driving this kid all over the range, all over back through the fields and stuff, and just having a great time. And I thought it was one of the coolest things I had seen in a long time, ZD. It was so cool. And I'm like, what an American thing to do. This kid out here in this, you know, dirt wagon, manual. 12-year-olds driving a manual. That's what's up.
That's fun.
let me read this here. $2 came in from Kronos 420. Anson needs to move out of third world black and white level. It's called film noir. And if he didn't have it all blacked out like that, you could see his laundry room, and nobody needs to see Anson Knowles' tidy white.
Y'all want me to turn on the color and get the light
No,
on? Y'all can
no,
see my washroom.
No,
I got a nice Kenmore dryer in here. It's from when Sears went out of business. It's a really nice dryer.
No, nobody wants to see that.
I miss Sears. I do. I miss Sears.
Yeah, I miss all the actual catalogs from back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, ZD Dan. I think the 18-year-olds today are nowhere near the 18-year-olds when I was in high school, who really probably weren't like the 18-year-olds back, in my parents' age. I'll also add that somebody in the chat, I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to click it and put it up on the screen, but we were asking who was getting married at 14. In Tennessee, this was a case that just came back to light a couple of years ago. There was a guy who married a 12-year-old girl. I think he was in his 20s at the time. He married this 12-year-old girl. They didn't consummate the marriage until she was 18, but they were legally married. They married her. He had to marry her because the way the law read is that his family couldn't take her in without her parents signing off on it, and whoever her parents were trash people, and she was basically living on the street begging for money and everything else. And so his family took kind of pity on this girl, and the only way that they could legally have her move into their home without these other people coming and just dragging her, kicking and screaming out of the door with the police was for him to marry this woman. And they ended up, I guess, actually becoming a couple, consummating their marriage at when she was 18 or 19 or whatever it was, and they were married until they were until he was in his 70s. So.
Yeah, he was 8 years older than her.
Yeah, 8 years older.
That's really similar to what my grandmother and grandfather did. My grandmother was 15 and my grandfather was 26. And they got married after knowing each other for 2 weeks because her home life was so horrible that she didn't really have any options in her life. And he basically took her in and took care of her. But he consummated right away.
Yeah, look, the story says that they waited till she was 18, and she basically just lived in the house as another daughter to the family, and they eventually actually became a couple. But stories aren't always the truth, guys.
You think he went full Muhammad, huh?
Could have. I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm just saying it was a famous case here in Tennessee that was just brought up a few years ago, and brought back to light a few years ago, and for some stupid ass reason. I think the woman finally died, and they made this big story about how she was taken advantage of, when honestly she literally would have probably died. She was literally living on the street, and her parents were not taking care of her, were not giving her weren't able to provide her with food and clothing and all of that, but wouldn't let anybody else provide her with those things either. So when you got to get around the law, sometimes things are weird. By the way, what's up, Abe Dinkus? How the hell are you?
Not too bad. About yourself?
I'm getting by tonight, man. It's gonna be a rough one for me tonight. I may not even bother going to sleep because I'll end the show at 11, and my son, I have to get up at 2 to take him to the airport so that he has a 5 o'clock flight out. So
it'll be a long one.
It's gonna be a long day, brother. It's a long day coming.
So. I know those ones for sure. Fun times.
Yeah. Yep. What did you? Were you a part of the festivities Friday night here on the channel?
No, I ended up doing dinner, and then I didn't get done with it until after the late ticket. So I just watched. So.
Oh, nice. What did you think of the show?
I thought it went pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I thought it was great.
I was asleep, so.
Yeah. Seemed like fun.
Yeah.
What did you think, Patrick? Was the moderator the best moderator that show's ever had?
Oh, the greatest moderator I've ever seen, you know. I mean, never seen a better moderator.
Oh my God.
But I also, all my debates were split decisions. I'm the split decision god over here.
I don't know why he is so quiet compared to everybody else. Let me see.
His volume's up all the way.
Yeah. Why are you so quiet compared to everybody else?
I don't know. It keeps happening to me. I just bought
not you, Patrick.
Oh. Okay, good.
Yeah, no, you sound great.
Okay.
I'm not sure. When I listen
And that
back
beard. Speak clearly into the microphone.
I'm not sure. When I listen back on Anson streams, I'm usually relatively normal volume.
Yeah, this one's different though. It's totally different software. See, Grid's got the budget software because he's cheap. So you got to talk loud into it.
Software.
You got to talk loud into it because he's so cheap.
I wish I were cheap, but I'm not. Unfortunately, StreamYard. I've always had trouble with StreamYard, so I just got tired of using it. So you didn't even hear the middle guy talking. Yeah, I'm sorry, Kitty. So, but at any rate, yeah. Glenn, are you there? He's sleeping. I would be sleeping. He streamed for like 13.
What are you talking about? I'm right here. What's up?
What's up, man? What are you doing?
Editing. You know.
Yeah. What did you, Glenn? So you obviously, we've talked a little bit about Florida. What was your overall take on Florida? What did you think?
I mean, I thought it was an overall net positive for me. Got to hang out with you, right? We got to meet up and we got to break bread. Well, technically,
steak. We broke steak.
We broke steak. Yeah, we had some steak.
I didn't eat any bread at all.
No bread was consumed during that event. I made fun of you in person, so that was funny. You know?
Yeah, and I made fun of you.
Yep, in person, like we should have. Like, I mean, it was only destined to be done.
Yeah.
Thought, I mean, I've been talking with Gia and Aaron for, off and on for several months now. I had Gia on my show, or actually I was on her show. So it was good to finally meet and discuss the book that we're working on, which the quiz is part of the book, ladies. So that's why I need you to go fill out that quiz, fill out the quiz, find out if you are marriage material, if you're not married. And if you are married, see if you are married.
Wait, there's a quiz. I can learn whether or not I deserve a third and fourth wife.
No. It's whether or not the woman has the qualities of a elegant, feminine presence.
Anson, it's not about deserving your third or fourth wife. It's about earning that third or fourth wife.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. I still haven't paid off my second one yet.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm working on it.
Still got a few more payments on that loaner.
Where's that link at? I'm gonna take that quiz. That looks like fun.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't need you to take that quiz, Anson, because you're gonna fuck up my statistics on it.
And
you ain't a woman,
Glenn.
I happen to be a very honest woman, and I was very honest.
What was that?
But most women are not. So
I was gonna get the link for my wife.
Oh yeah. Here, I'll put it in the private chat.
Yeah. Put that in there. That way I can give it to all the ladies I'm talking to. Also, that sounds like fun.
All the ladies.
All the ladies.
You're
so
talking.
his mom, grandma, his sister, and you know, his nieces. You know.
So
he didn't say he said he was talking to him. He didn't say he was doing anything with them.
Well, in our in our timeline, we talking had a very specific meaning. But so Glenn, I was gonna try and jump onto Pearl's call-in channel tonight. Unfortunately, she didn't start the call-in until after.
She's live right now, right?
She's live right now. I can't hear it obviously, but or watch it actually because I've got all my screens with my show on. But I really wanted to jump up there and just see, ask her a couple of things about what she was talking about tonight, but unfortunately wasn't able to. Do you want to? When first of all, did you decide when we're going to do the stream that you want to do? And
I told you tomorrow.
Oh, we're doing it tomorrow. Okay.
And I did send you the link, right?
No.
Oh, my bad. I'll get that too. I'll put it in your private chat.
Yeah. Do you want to promote that? Do you want to talk about it at all?
Yeah, I mean, this is not like, okay, let me just
get your soapbox out. Stand up.
I gotta like reintroduce this. This, full disclaimer, this is not an attack on,
not a hit piece
stream. This is not an attack on Pearl stream. I repeat, this is not an attack on Pearl stream whatsoever, but it's more of the mindset, more of the nihilistic mindset that we're seeing plague a lot of people in the men's space community. This whole there's not going to be any good women. What's the point in trying? You guys, good luck, blah 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 blah. That mentality is a defeatist mentality. And
this is when Casper shows up right now, because you said nihilistic, defeatist. So that's like his call.
Kind of.
Anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
So it's like, okay, if I'll tell you this, if you believe that, sure, the answer is yes. If you don't believe that, you think that there's possibility for change and that you could be part of that change, the answer is yes. Whatever you want to believe, the answer is yes. This idea that that we can't make a difference, that we cannot course correct, is retarded. We course corrected this way to get here. We could always course correct back. Is it going to take more work from us? Sure. Is it fair? Life ain't fair. It's what, if we want to see the change, we got to be the change that we want to see.
And there he is. I told you.
It's a safe space. Echo chambers do suck though, but at the same time, Casper, I can't answer for other people. I can only tell you what I think we should do and what direction I think we should go. And what about the Mendo is the kind of like the thought, and it's like, what about them? If they don't want to make any effort, they don't want to put in the work, I can't help them. And putting in the work doesn't guarantee that you're going to get a W. You're going to get further along than where you are now. And that is also going to be in a better place from where you started overall. So, Ghost, I mean, do you remember, Ghost, were you in the last stream that I was in when I hopped on? And I was talking to Pearl recently? Yeah. Okay, yeah. See, Ghost was in there, and I presented. They're like, is there going to be? Why should she have any hope that things are going to change? What proof can I provide? And what I provided was actually not really a positive thing. It was more of a negative thing. But that negative thing was going to cause the course correction. And what I presented was Isaiah 3-4, verse 1, right? Where it talks about God removing his covering from Israel and Judea because of their idolatry. And it talks about like the women, the women will be the rulers, or the women or children will be the rulers, and women will rule over them. The women are going to be haughty with their outstretched necks, with jewelry dangling around their ankles, just being, modern day 304s, right? And there's a consequence to that. And the consequence is that the good men, the army, the men of rank, they die, and the men that are left, are going to be surrounded by women. There are going to be 7 women to each man, begging them to take their name and, to take away their shame. They're going to be like, look, we'll feed ourselves. We got money. We boss bitches. We can clothe ourselves, but just hide us from the shame. Call us by your name. And that right there is a course correction. It's not a good thing, but it is a course correction when it comes to that dire situation. We're going to take an L overall if our society keeps on going this way, but that L is going to cause a course correction.
You've got a very Chad-centric way of looking at the world, Glenn.
Oh,
Chud, not Chad, Chud.
No, he's a good-looking fella. I know Glenn. I know what Glenn's a good-looking fella. I mean, to think that the logical conclusion is that hypergamy is good because it's a course correction.
Hypergamy is good.
That's why I call it a Chad-centric point of view, right? Because that's what someone with a lot of options would say.
We'll get into that in a second. Give me just a second. So Seth Spence asked me, if husbands find their wives too expensive, can they send them back to their fathers? Unfortunately, the warranty expires pretty much as soon as you put that ring on it, and I thought
it expired as soon as you put that dick in it.
Either way, I've heard it both ways. Chronos sent in $2 from and said, Glenn, stop selling AI sex bots.
I'm not selling AI sex bots, but I know you got your promo code already.
That's funny. So the hypergamy thing is interesting because I think it really only affects I keep trying to put this in perspective for like all of America except for like California and basically the coastal areas, right? I keep trying to figure this out because I see, what I see is that hypergamy in and of itself is confined to some very select groups, honestly.
No.
Because okay, all right, let me ask you something. I
think so.
I gotta ask you this, Glenn, because this has been, I'm not into the whole hypergamy thing, right? But let me ask you this. So what do you think Gia McCool's husband offered her that made her hypergamous?
Well, first of all, women are born hypergamous.
Yeah.
God gave them this feature to be able to vet out, men. God gave them this feature to be able to weed out the good potential mates versus the bad potential mates.
That's not really hypergamy, though. It is.
It's a woman's desire. It's a woman's mating strategy to select the best mate that she could possibly get that will be good to provide resources for her and her offspring for the longevity of their life. That's what hypergamy is. Women want to look up to a man, not down on a man.
Well,
they will marry at their level or up.
I think it's natural mating instinct, and I think it gets shaped even more throughout the years they're growing up, so that hypergamy will take a different appearance depending on the woman. So
right. Well, and that's this is where I start. This is where I start getting in, the having issues with the way that it's presented. I don't actually disagree that there is selection bias, right? But when you look at like, and I'm just going to pick on Gia here for a minute because it's fresh in my mind, right? Like her husband's a cool dude. He is cool. But compared to the type of people that you think, like if you had asked me, what do I think Gia's husband's going to look at? Right? Huh?
You would think that they're mismatched.
Yes. If you ask someone, if you showed them a picture of Gia McCool right now, and you said, "What do you think her husband is like?"
What do you think that he's going to look like Aaron Reed?
Yeah, the reality of that is absolutely, to a lot of people, would be almost nonsensical. Would you agree with that?
So you're taking what he looks like now, because he's like 15 years older than her. When you got to remember, when they met, he was just got out of the military, decorated, Army, pararescue, or I'm sorry, Army Ranger, like badass, coming back like
I think he was special. I don't know if he was a Ranger.
Or maybe Special Forces. Yeah, like
no. He was a Ranger, not Special Forces. That's right. Never mind. Sorry, it's okay.
So he was a guy that had both status, clout, recognition. So when they met, you could say, yeah, he probably was the guy, in her eyes, right?
Yeah.
And they got married. That was her the second person she dated, so, and he maintained that position in her eyes even through the difficult times, even when she was working 4 jobs, right? And he was trying to figure it out after the military.
Right. Yeah, and that was something else that I found really interesting, and I actually, I mean, I understand that. I've watched that happen to other people. I've had to some degree had that in my own life, on reverse, but still, and so I get that part of it, but again, when you think about and again, this is just I don't know that. I mean, certainly there's selection bias. I don't know that the hypergamy thing is as important as people think. Right?
I think it's misunderstood. I think it's really misunderstood. I think that value judgments.
I can agree with that.
Looks aren't always part of it. Like there's
looks are very low on the poll if you look at the way that it's typically assessed.
Yeah, and by sex it's different. Like men, instinct.
Only women are hypergamous.
Yeah, only women are hypergamous in theory. And I guess the selection bias. The typical way to look at this is, and this is actually part of my. Part of the name of the channel, An Unreasonable Man, comes from a 1907 quote by George Bernard Shaw. Now he was a flaming fuckhead socialist, but he did get a couple of things right. And it comes from the play of Men and Supermen, in which he postulated that 100 years in the future, because of hypergamy, he didn't call it hypergamy. That wasn't the idea back then, but let's just cut to the chase. Because of hypergamy, the best men and the best women would mate, and their offspring would mate with other best of the best. And in doing so, the have-nots, if you will, would stay the have-nots and potentially decline. And the beautiful people would become even stronger, smarter, and more beautiful. And so therefore there would be a culture of men and supermen in 100 years after all of this happened. Well, obviously it didn't fucking happen because it was 200 damn years ago, 900, almost 200 years ago, or was it 113 years ago? Whatever. I'm fucked up tonight a little bit in my timeline, but anyway, he says this in such a way, or the play is written in such a way that it was very believable. But but it never happened, and it did never happen. Now, the one thing he did get right is a quote that I use, that an unreasonable man comes from, and that is, the reasonable man looks at the world and accepts it for what it is and conforms to it. The unreasonable man looks at the world, sees the issues, and changes it to conform to him. And therefore, all change must come from unreasonable men. And so, obviously, he meant, that communism was going to be the reasonable thing. But, he was wrong because he was an idiot.
All right, can I read this real quick to you?
Yeah, go right ahead.
This is not a red pill take or anything like that. This is actually from evolutionary psychologist talking about the depth of hypergamy, right? The origins of the evolution of hypergamy. Hypergamy, the act or practice of marrying someone of higher social standing or class, has existed for centuries. Rooted in ancient societies, it has evolved over time, adopting shifting cultural norms and expectations. But what drives this seemingly age-old desire to marry up is an innate human instinct or byproduct of a societal conditioning. We will explore hypergamy. Okay, so the ancient term hypergamy has its roots in Hindu traditions dating back to ancient Hindu society. An ancient Hindu legal text from 1250 BCE. In these societies, hypergamy was practiced as a means of survival and social mobility, with Hindu women marrying men of equal or higher status, known as annulium, while pratelumo marriages, where women married men of lower status, were considered condemned. Right. The role of hypergamy in traditional marriage throughout history, hypergamy played a significant role in traditional marriage, ensuring financial stability and social status for women and their families. Marriages were often arranged based on social class, along with other factors such as class, education, social standing, wealth. These factors were used to secure alliances for the bride and her family and increase their social standing.
But that would do away with hypergamy.
No, that is
hypergamy. The woman's not making the choice. Her family is making the choice.
And what are they doing? They're helping her marry up.
But that
it just becomes entrained.
Hypergamy is just a reflection of sexual selection discernment that women have. It's just one. But the reason why it's important isn't because it exists. It's because at various points in time in our history, it's been suppressed successfully, because when it's successfully suppressed, there are more monogamous relationships. More men are able to contribute to society and provide and build stable homes. And
I don't think that's true.
Oh, it is. It is. It's absolutely true.
Well, when we still have like the historically only 40% of men have procreated.
That number has.
Hold on. The problem with that, citing that statistic, and
I'm just using that as a generality. When I say
again, when you cite that statistic, the reason only 40% of men have procreated is because the others died in war before they could procreate.
I understand that.
Like, it's not that they didn't have the opportunity. It's not that they couldn't get a woman. It's they were killed before they had the opportunity.
That's part of it. They some of them died beforehand before they could get a woman. Some of them just never got a woman.
Then you also have to ask about the statistic for current day men.
Yeah,
who aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. What's reproduction today?
So hypergamy has accelerated over the last 100 years, right? You can't deny that like things like the pill has increased hypergamy because it's reduced accountability for promiscuity, right? And that's related to hypergamy. You can try out more men and get them into your web as a woman if you don't have consequences for trying out all the men, right? And there's other things too, like the changes in the divorce laws have increased hypergamy because you can hitch your wagon as a woman to more than one man until you find the right one, right? We talk about this all the time.
Abortion is the most like obvious example of a woman exercising hypergamy.
But even in the last couple of 100 years, like the Victorian era was very, very much constraining toward hypergamy and forced these women into monogamous relationships, and it increased the stability of the culture during that era and led to a lot of improvements because we were able to perpetuate this society where more men had options instead of turning into angry Caspers.
And just like that, Anson turns it into a monarchy discussion.
Real quick, let me just finish this last portion right here. It says this is about modern hypergamy, a shift in perspective. In modern times, the perspective on hypergamy has evolved, with some viewing it as a neutral part of human behavior, while others see it as a dated and potentially harmful practice. Critics argue that women are deliberately marrying up, are disempowering themselves and impeding progress on issues like pay inequality, which affects many women. It says, according to evolutionary psychology, hypergamy is an evolved inborn female mating behavior that drives women to seek partners with the higher socioeconomic class, income level, and resource potential. This behavior is rooted in the need for security, stability, and capacity to provide for oneself and potential offspring.
And my argument is that there are many behaviors that are evolved in humans that are better suppressed, and hypergamy is absolutely one of them. There are many other urges that humans have because of their evolutionary the scaffolding that's related to the things that they've inherited from prior generations that we don't condone anymore in our culture, right? I mean, so yeah, we should absolutely agree that it exists and that it's natural, but that it should be suppressed.
I think you're talking about more about open hypergamy, where it's if you're saying if women are just using hypergamy as to find a good mate, to find a good husband to marry, I think any guy with daughters would want their daughter to have this filter to where that she's able to vet and be able to select the best potential mate for her and her potential children for the future. Right. That's a good thing. Yeah. So. And if that's how it was being used in that way, then you're going to say that's a good thing. Now, open hypergamy is when they use, I'm going to marry Abe, but then, Anson got some money. He got more money than Abe, and he got a nicer house. So I'm a monkey branch to Anson. Now I'm on Anson. Look at Grid. Grid is the man. And then that's open hypergamy.
Yeah, well,
that's what we're seeing now, where women are, jumping from one dick to the next and not being committed. Yeah, that is a problem. But hypergamy in itself is not a bad thing. It's how it's being utilized.
Yeah, well, I agree with that if it's being utilized to filter into stable monogamous relationships, right? It's a totally natural thing, but it has to be suppressed and it can't be allowed to basically turn into what it is now, or else the society will degrade. That's why women aren't having as many children, because they're out there trying to get their nut, right? They're trying to get their own instead of settling down and popping out lots of children with one guy. It's what is that? It's a secular society issue. It's just the decline of the Christian values to seek high status partners.
I would say it probably even played a role in the Christian father selecting the daughter's husband too. I'm sure the Christian dad had a deal with the daughter, like, Dad, he's so ugly. What about him? I like him, and I'm sure the Christian dad dealt with the daughter's hypergamous, wants and or inclinations or whatever. It affects all women. Not women are not immune from this, and it's not a negative thing. I hate the fact that it's always being tainted as a negative thing. Would you say that a male sex drive is a negative thing? No, but the way that he uses it can be a negative thing.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it has to be suppressed. That's another one of those things. Like guys shouldn't be going out and banging 50 guys, 50 women before
They should not be banging 50 guys. You're right. They should
You're right.
not
They
do
should
that.
Yeah, this is in ancient Greece. You're right. Sorry about that.
So I think it has a bad rap because of the way that we see it being exercised today. But I think in itself and on its own, it's neither good nor bad. Just like masculinity is neither good nor bad. It's not toxic just because it's masculinity,
That's interesting. So, yeah.
I mean, sorry, I didn't have the mic near me. I mean, it's an interesting thing. I guess I think that it's one of those things that within limits, right? Like I'm kind of with, and it feels weird saying this. I'm kind of with Anson on this because it should be the father helping make those determinations. It should be, the sex drive in a man should be managed, right? Because you honestly, we're not better for that for men running around, like dogs in heat with that red rocket hanging out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just not. It's not doing society any good, and so I'm kind of with Anson on this largely, yeah. So.
Well, I just thought it was interesting that Glenn has two separate definitions for hypergamy. There's hypergamy and then there's open hypergamy. I had not heard of different definitions of hypergamy before and describing the way that they're expressed in the current culture, right? So that's something that I'll actually have to think about now because my conception of it is that it has to filter into monogamy. And so that's hypergamy expressed in a positive manner, and the open hypergamy is just hypergamy expressed in a negative manner. So, yeah, that's good info, Glenn. Thanks for bringing that up.
Welcome,
I'm gonna drop a link in the back for you to read, Anson.
Yeah.
Thank you. Y'all are talking about hypergamy, and it's a really interesting concept because the concept's been around forever. It's never been something we didn't understand. And yeah, granted, like Glenn, you were saying earlier, over time, 40% of men have propagated, right? But that's over all human history that we can chart. However, during different 50 to 100 year periods, 2% may have propagated or 60%. So there's been a pulse to the ebb and flow of time as far as like the propagation. And that does have to do with hypergamy. And we've seen this throughout like history whenever there were more intense times from Christians or Catholics, like the Crusades and whatnot, right? And then through times whenever there were more, what do they call them? Starts with a P. It's I don't even remember. The atheist type mentality, right? Where they were like free love and everybody's everything. And so there was.
Are you talking about polyamorous?
No. Well, it would be polyamorous type relationship. But it was no, not relationship. Religion. Start with a P. I just can't.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Damn word.
Polytheism.
No. Christians fought against it in the 800s, 900s.
Paganism?
Paganism, yeah, sorry. Thank you. During the more paganistic times, right? Hypergamy, I mean, it wasn't really so much of a problem then because all the women were sleeping with everybody. Or at least they didn't see it as a problem. Because in their society, there were still lots of kids being born. There was still lots of things like that happening. And granted, I'm not saying like all relationships were this weird polyamory type crap. They weren't. I mean, obviously. But when those pulses happened where there were more religions that were like that were more populated, we saw more of that. Well, so what we've got right now, the construction that we have right now in society, this hypergamous construction that we have, it's not the ethical, the virtue, and the moral built hypergamous woman or woman seeking a an ethical, moral, or virtuous man anymore. It's more about the sexual short night date, and that's the problem that we're really seeing right now, because all they're doing is going for, am I happy today? Did he make me orgasm last night? If he didn't, I'm divorcing him. You know, and that's the problem that we've got right now. It's not that the hypergamous nature exists, it's that men are no longer in control of their women, so their women don't think long term anymore. And women have never really been long term thinkers, but nowadays they don't think long term at all. And we can see this with their credit report. Like, they have the most debt in America by far. They have the least amount of savings in America by far. So we know they don't think about their future hardly at all.
And how would you say you control them, Cleaner?
Well, in the past, the control aspect was an absence of the no fault divorce system. And like in the past, it was the religious marriage, right? I mean, like, people were shamed
Social
if they were
buffers.
going to get divorced for some reason.
Yeah,
Do what,
social buffers were in place. You had more like closer community, right?
Yeah.
Community was more involved. Family was more involved. Stigma.
Yeah.
If you are
Shame.
a divorcee, shame was a factor.
Well, I mean, just allowing them to be educated and, you know, have the pill and, you know, have money, you know, that's actually the problem. Like,
I agree with you. We should have dumb women, Nansen. Dumb.
Well, no, not dumb women, just, you know, not allowing them to, you know, feel like they have, you know, knowledge about things that make them equal to men.
Superior.
Well, I think something that we as men need to acknowledge too, though, is that when we controlled women to the extent where we could get them to invest in the future, they controlled us also in a more moral aspect. They would whisper in our ear, "Hey, sweetheart, that guy over there did something really horrible. You need to, like, say something to somebody or something," you know. Or they would say, "Oh, this guy's not ethical. We shouldn't do business with him. You wouldn't believe what his wife has told me that he's been doing in the background." You know, they held us to
keeping you
a moral
morally in
standard.
check. Yeah.
Right. They controlled us as well. So there's two sides to it that don't exist anymore.
Okay. All right.
I would say, like, you know, what is no longer in place are those social buffers that, as Anson was saying, that, you know, that contained hypergamy, that didn't allow it to get perverted, I guess you would say, right? It was utilized to still, you know, mate select for long-term relationships, because that was monogamy was being enforced and promoted and praised at that time. And they had social buffers that would support couples getting married. We don't really have those anymore. So then, now you're going to have this unvetted or unchecked hypergamy that is running loose and rampant.
Well, we're meant to counterbalance, and if you're at war, how do you counterbalance each other? You can't. There is no balance.
You have to take over. Either what power? Nobody's going to give up power. You have to take power from them.
Right, but the thing is that it in the past, historically, it always depended on the same sex to really enforce upon their sex for their future generations, their current generations, in their communities, what the social norm and the social standards were. So, like, women would hold other women accountable if they were doing things that were wrong or heretical or whatnot. I mean, the Salem witch trials were, I mean, fabulous for proving this. You know, like, a woman decided she was going to run around and be promiscuous, and some other girl didn't like it. Guess what happened? That girl got called a witch and burned at the stake. And I mean, you know, this has happened all through history. Women hold other women accountable. Men hold other men accountable. But we don't do that anymore. Women no longer hold each other accountable and prize the family that another woman has built and say, "Wow, you've got an awesome family, great husband, good kids. You know, and the same thing with men too, though, is that to some degree we do not have the same prize of, hey man, you've got an awesome family. Now, granted, there are still, and Glenn, you know, I mean, you've had thousands of conversations with thousands of men, so you could probably back me up on this. But there's still a large community of men that do that. But in the younger generation, we're just not seeing it as much now.
Yeah, men are better at mentoring and trying to help course correct the younger generation compared to women. Women actually just, they're like crabs in a bucket. They don't want to see the younger generation do better than them, in a sense.
I like that analogy. That's a good one.
But what I was going to say about
Patrick, are you muted or something? What's going on, man?
No,
Patrick,
I'm just not talking because I was quiet before. I don't know how quiet I actually am.
you're still your mic is still really quiet. Do you have the right audio selected, or?
Yeah, I have the right audio selected, and like this is my normal setup. I turned it up a little bit in my internal device settings.
Yeah, crank it up to 100, man.
It's at 100 on my device.
You were a little low last night when we were talking on Discord too. I had to max you out on Discord. It may be you've got to crank it up almost all the way in device settings or hit boost if it has boost there.
I've cranked it all the way up on my PC, bro. As far as my mic output.
Yeah, I've got you cranked up too.
Hey Glenn, I had a question. Do you send the results of those quizzes to the people that take them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I could give it to you once I get it.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
I'm interested in seeing the results overall. If you're planning on
I
sharing them.
got 7 so far. Results, and like that's nothing to really base anything off of, right? It's still too small of a number, but some of the people, like I know them and I'm like, they're dead on. Some people that I know, I'm like, they're grading themselves on a curve.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's more for their own critique, right? Like if they're wondering, okay, do I meet the quality? Do I meet the standard, or do I have the characteristics that the men of this caliber are looking for in a spouse? And if they're honest with themselves, truly honest with themselves, and they'll realize, like, maybe you got some work to do, girl. Because if you go see whatever, every girl on whatever says that they're a 10. Like they're all beautiful, they're all perfect, they don't need no improvement, and it's like, okay, that's not realistic. Here, take this test, see where you land, and then just either you could discard it or you could take it like, I guess there is some improvement I should work on. And it's not a shaming test. It's not gonna be like, oh, bitch, you ain't marriage worthy. Well, unless you score 50 or below, then you're definitely for the streets.
Yeah, don't worry, Glenn. I'll take it a few times and add to your numbers.
Anson will skew that matrix so bad.
I already know. He'd be like, he probably already did 4 of the 7 tests.
That's probably fun. That's probably not even. That's not even a lie.
But so
very interesting conversation. But we kind of diverted away from the
hypergamy.
The Pearl thing. You like went way off, and we kind of got off in the deep end here. And I'm curious.
So I have a bunch of clips from that stream that I was on with her, where she, is really coming off as the world is fucked. It's burning, just enjoy the decline. And the problem I have with that mentality is, one, it's a defeater mentality, 2, it's not true. It's a lie. Because if we look at history does repeat itself. And we see a time in the Bible where this similar behavior was being, exhibited, and we see that God moved his hand from protection of them, and there was some trials and some shitty shit that happened to them, and they were forced to course correct.
Slaughter.
You know, and that's the reality of things. You know, like
it'll be an interesting conversation to have tomorrow. So
I was kind of curious, Grid and Glenn, you two specifically. I'm kind of curious on y'all's take. For me, what I think is like when we have men that are talking to men and explaining things, you know, that's one thing. But when you have a woman, and granted, I mean, she's not like a 10 or anything. She's like a 5 or a 6, right? Pearl's not like a drop dead, you know, movie star, hottest woman, but she's pretty. Right. So she has guys that are following her and listening to her. Do you really think that women should be espousing to men to be black pill or to, I mean, should they really be espousing this? Like, you know, really?
No,
what do y'all think of that?
I think women should be speaking to women, but I think that she has no control over that. I think that her audience gravitates to her because you got these guys that say, oh, a woman actually understands this, you know, is speaking about our pain, you know, and they're empathizing or sympathizing with us. Like she gets it. Why can't these other women get it? That's what was happening. But if you know that when she first came out, she was actually only trying to talk to women, but then women didn't want to talk to her. She would have these panel shows called The Jump Off that, you know, end up getting shut down because women just didn't want to talk to her and come on the show.
Yeah. I want to welcome Vibe to the show. He kind of, you know, he got in late. He must have had something really important to do. Got about an hour left in the show tonight. Glenn and I are going to talk about this subject a lot tomorrow. So I don't really want to spend just a ton of time on it tonight, mainly because then, you know, I have to repeat myself tomorrow. But it is going to be a good show, I think. And it's going to be, you know, because Glenn and I have very different positions on this where we kind of come to the same, we end up at the same point in a very different route. So it's going to be interesting. You know, I'm not really sure because I haven't actually been able to watch a lot of other people's content because we were in Florida and then, you know, I've been playing catch up since I got back, but how's the internet been the last couple of days, Vibe? What do you think? Because, you know, we've had the bombs drop. We've had a president saying fuck right on fucking live TV. You know, so what's been going on, Vibe? What's your read?
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, what was more important than watching you is I was catching up on my comedy, watching MSNBC.
There you go.
So that was kind of fun. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind because I swore that just the other day I was watching the riots, and then I tuned in the morning when I woke up to find out what was happening 30 minutes north of me, and then there was a war. So the riots kind of went out of scope, and now we're at war. And then now we're not out of war, or we were out of war yesterday, but we're back in it today because Trump's calling the two nations children that have been fighting for too long.
Yes,
it's all over the place, right? It's quite entertaining, and at the same time, my kids are home from school, so I'm trying to entertain them while, you know, we're at war, and trying to catch up on everybody's streams. Anson and Beth, I caught the last, I think, hour and a half of your guys' marriage thing last night. I was just about to jump in with some comments here, but since Grid, you're going to be on topic for this tomorrow, I'll kind of keep my mouth shut and maybe see if I can jump in tomorrow and save it for tomorrow.
Yeah,
I wanted to know his thoughts.
Yeah, well, he was
tomorrow.
He was really
cooking. Might be able to form a better argument.
You know, it's a teaser. Tune in tomorrow. Let's pull a big grift.
That's right.
I really liked where you were going, Vibe, talking about how I won that debate. You were almost there talking about how great I did during the debate, and then you just stopped short. You know, you just talking about how you watched it. I want to tell everybody how great I did.
All I know is when I came in the last hour, I was kind of lost at what you guys were talking about, and they took a poll, and I think you got 68% as the winner. So I'll grant
64.
you that.
That's 64. Because he used all of his alt accounts to vote for himself.
I do believe that is possible.
I didn't get to see the whole thing, but it seemed like Anson did a lot of great research for that debate. Honestly,
he did.
Seems like he did a lot of research. My biggest issue was that you were using historical events to prove that it's better, and for me that felt fallacious, because just because it had doesn't make it better.
Well, the argument wasn't better. He was saying it wasn't entirely bad,
right?
Like that there was benefits. Historically there was benefits for unequally yoked marriages.
Well, and there's a second part to that too, right? Like in today's world, with all of the degeneracy and people who aren't really Christians, like Nala Ray really needs to have an actual Christian man marry her and like turn her into a real Christian woman, right? And the only way you're gonna get that is through marriages that are unevenly yoked, right? Where one person's actually a Christian and the other person's like a Nala, right? So we need to have all of the real Christian men, shack up with all these OF chicks, and that'll really fix the culture.
I think there's a double-edged sword there, where if you have a Christian man hook up with a OF girl, right? There's a potential there, but also in the unequaling of yokes, I've seen a lot of married couples that have no faith, where one partner actually finds the faith, and it drives the marriage into turmoil when the other one won't actually follow. So, and it usually happens. It's all good for a couple years until the husband's like going to men's small groups. He's reading his wife Bible quotes, trying to get her to convert, and she's like, "This is not what I signed up for," right? And it can cause a lot of strain on marriages as well if it happens after the fact. So I'd be for unyoked in coming into the relationship, but in the relationship, I definitely, and I've seen this a lot personally. Like, I work with a lot of men and do men's small groups, and I've seen a lot of men that have come to faith where their partner doesn't and struggle with that quite a bit.
I have to say, Darth Maul, that's exactly what I heard as well. All I heard was Anson nominate himself as Nala's new husband.
But Anson's not a Christian.
Make it so.
He might convert now.
Nala isn't either.
That's the point.
He can fix her, guys. Anson can fix her.
I don't even think there's a problem with unyoked marriages, because
I don't think so either.
Yeah. I mean, like, women don't want a yoked partner. They want a partner that's surpassing them in like 90% of the metrics. They want a guy that's funnier than them, that's more intelligent, that's able to make a lot of money, that's strong as shit, that can defeat enemies. Just like gobs of shit, right? And it's like, I don't think they want equal
that they were going with, that they were using as the. I think that was a different version of it, because they were talking about primarily belief systems.
Your core belief.
Right, but I mean that still would be the same thing. I don't think that women even want a man that believes less in the same religion they're in either. I think they want a man that's more stoic and more faithful. I mean, like, you hear it all over. For religious women, you hear them saying, "I want a God-fearing man." Well, there's a reason for that. They want a guy that will follow the church and the church's prescription to a T, right? Like, they don't want an evenly yoked guy. They want someone that can keep them holding to the faith.
Kind of like someone that they could look up to, right?
Well,
yeah.
Kind of like hypergamy, doesn't it?
A leader.
Yeah.
They want a leader.
Right. And this is interesting, because I made this point on Glenn's show earlier today. It feels like I'm rehashing this. When I got married, my wife was, my wife's Chinese. She was apolitical, didn't really care about politics at all, because, she just didn't care. That's why she came here from China. And not religious at all. And that, but, after 20 years of marriage, she is at least on the conservative side. She's still she doesn't really care that much for politics, like most women, and as I believe most women should be. And She doesn't really care about politics, and she is Christian. And I mean, obviously, I would prefer a little stronger Christian, but again, that's I can't make miracles happen. And so I'm kind of with Cleaner on this. I don't believe in the equally yoked thing as much as I believe that if you are not a strong stoic man and you attempt to marry or have relationships with women who are not in the same, at least in the same area, same like belief system, then you're asking for trouble. It's just the way, that's how good men get drugged down and beat.
Yeah.
By the way, I did see you come in, Kissy Cat. I will send you the link so you can come up. No excuses. No excuses, please. I know that you have time.
So there's actually something interesting that I discovered in doing my research is that all of the examples of all of the saints in history that I pulled up and could find of unevenly yoked marriages where there was a positive outcome, the woman was the Christian and the man was the non-believer, and the woman used her moral superiority to sway the man who had power, who had strength, who had all of those great characteristics of what a good man is. And then as a Christian with those characteristics, he did wonderful things. That's how it works best, is when the woman is Christian.
I can see that.
And the man is already good stock, and he becomes significantly better once he converts.
I can see that as well.
Yeah. And I don't
we see
necessarily
that-
disagree with that, but I think that the reason that those really worked out well, and the reason that the saints that were married were able to get into sainthood, and the reason they were really able to excel, was because they were already really good men. They just weren't religious yet. So I understand the religious yoking, right? But when you're talking about coming to a religion with a woman who is already of that religion, you're already a really good dude, but then you take on the religion and the faith of that religion, and so your good sides really maximize in that arena. So I mean, it's just still going back to the unequally yoked even then.
Yeah, but what we see even in First Peter, we see like Peter telling to the women, like, submit to your husbands, even if he's a non-believer, and may he be won over by not your words but your deeds and your actions, right? You're the quiet, submissive spirit that the Lord finds pleasing, like so. Yeah, it is encouraged even in if they are married to somebody that is a non-believer.
Okay, then.
Honestly, a powerful analogy for this. I mean, this is like somewhat theological in nature, but I mean, a powerful analogy for this is like, I mean, in the church, we always talk about the strength of Mary in accepting the responsibility, accepting that God's word, and then birthing Christ, and remembering that she was a parent of Christ and birthed Christ, and that's the man that's the savior, So I don't know. I think it's very analogous as far as what you were just talking about, Anson.
Okay.
And then you also look at like Hosea, right? He married a prostitute.
He did. I was talking about that the other day.
Hosea is the modern model for Nala's salvation.
Yes.
True. Basically.
I thought E4s were the ones that married prostitutes. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
In A-Town. what did they call it? They called it AIDS, right? Asian induced divorce syndrome.
Probably so. Abe looks like he knows what we're talking about and is being very quiet.
I had a lot of friends that went to Osan Kunsan, came back married.
It's true.
Yeah. I have a friend of mine who, really nice guy, he lived in he was in Japan for quite a while, but then he went to Korea. And he was with the Chair Force, and he was based in Colorado Springs. And he, I'm not really sure what he did there, but he was over there for a while. So his last time that he went to Korea, he had married this girl, and I guess like two of his buddies, they all married friends, and or at least girls that knew each other, and they all moved them back to the States, set them, got the houses, did the whole thing. Dude, man, he's back in Korea. He's over there for a while. He goes to Germany. He's there for a little while. I think it was like, I don't know, 8 months or something. So he's coming home. No, pardon me. He was still in Korea. He flew to Germany on his way home, and he tries to call, and nobody answers at his house. He's like, well, that's weird, but whatever. Lands, calls from the airport, come get me. First of all, nobody's there to meet him. He thought that was weird. Hey, come get me. Nobody answers the phone. Tries to use his debit card, and his bank account's been cleaned out. Credit card doesn't work. So he gets finally gets hold of a friend to bring him home. His house has foreclosure notice on the front door, and what this woman had done was two of the girls that were involved in this were trying to ditch their enlisted for officers. And they were actually hanging out in the O Club, and they were bringing this other girl with her, and they kind of bullied Keith's wife into kind of doing the same thing and told her how awesome it was going to be. And they literally took so what she was doing is she quit paying the mortgage. She quit paying all the bills. She took every dime out of and like in the space, as soon as he got on a plane leaving Korea, she emptied the bank account of every dime and basically just moved out into some apartment somewhere, and had all of this money that was Keith's. And he was pretty angry about that. And by the time he dug into it, obviously she was like, I didn't really want to do this. My friends were, I was kind of lured in it, I was kind of bullied, pushed, whatever into this. He didn't care. He divorced her. And it was but for like 3 years, his life was jacked. Like he was just messed up going through the divorce and all the stuff in the military. When your finances get fucked up like that, dude, they have no sense of humor about that shit. And it caused a lot of trouble with him in his job. You can
lose your rank.
Yep.
Right. It caused a lot of trouble with him in his job, and we were talking about it. It's been a few years. We were talking about it. He's like, there are times when I feel like that we probably could have worked it out, but at that time there was just there was nothing in my head except how bad she fucked me over.
I'm sure he just felt rage.
He's like, he's just, you'd have to know his personality. He gets over shit really fast, but he was angry a long time about that. And it wasn't just his military pay either. He had a business where he would do these custom interiors for cars in leather. He had a business called Mobo Leathers, and he would, and so he would sell this stuff online, and she'd actually like emptied out like his PayPal, everything, every dime that boy had, because she had all the passwords. He trusted her, all of that, So I every time somebody talks about, they had somebody came home from Korea or Japan with a wife, I'm like, yeah, I know this story.
that actually brings up another topic that I think is tangentially connected. What is it about divorcees that makes them try to get other women to leave as well?
Misery loves company, baby. Misery loves company. But you're right, 100%.
It's an infection. Like if your wife has a friend that's getting divorced, quarantine your wife from
that
her.
shit out. That's cancer.
You gotta
right there,
quarantine.
baby.
You gotta alienate that bitch.
I know.
100%. Glenn's 100% right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I've been married 17 years. I've watched a lot of couples split, and every single time that woman tries to get everybody in her circle to leave their man. Every single time.
It's because what happens is like the girls are talking. Well, what it is, like the girls are talking girl talk, right? And she's explaining why she's leaving her man, right? And she starts pointing out like certain things that her man was doing, and then the woman's like, "Huh, my husband does that. Does that mean he's doing it too?" And then now she got a problem with you over someone else's. Yeah, nope. Get rid of that bitch.
Yeah,
she gotta go.
That exact thing happened to me. What Glenn is describing, where my former wife had friends getting divorced, and she would tell me about the things that they were telling her, and then I heard that I was doing those same exact things not too much later.
Right. Welcome, Avoided Hornet. Good to see you in. We don't see you in very often, but it's cool to see you. Welcome to the panel, Kissy Cat. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. I haven't had time to talk to you lately. I hope that everything in your life is better and better every day. And if it's not, I'm sorry to hear that. But the interesting thing about the divorce thing is crazy because I've actually watched that happen a couple of times where one gets divorced and then like all of a sudden everyone in their friend group and I figured a big chunk of it is just that woman doesn't want to be alone. It's like they all go to the bathroom together. They never break that habit. You thought it was just high school, but no, it's forever. And
it's the hive mind.
Well, yeah, kind of, but they don't want, they don't want to suffer alone. They don't, and they don't want you. And what's even more interesting is how a woman will talk her friend into divorcing a dude and then have an affair with that dude because look at him shaking his head like, yeah, that's exactly right. Like
I've seen it.
It's literally back to the crab in the bucket when
right. Exactly. It is exactly the crab in the bucket. Like they cannot let if one woman is going through hell. Now I'm not saying every woman's like this. A lot of women will literally put their friends through hell because they don't want to go through hell alone. Yeah, DBA, divorce by association. That's true. Welcome, Trippy.
Think what they do to their husbands. Think about what they do to their husbands. When a woman's in a bad mood, their husbands have to be in a bad mood too. They can't be having a good day. Fuck that. She's gonna come over there and ruin his day.
Hold on now. We got some ladies on the panel. So when your friends get divorced, do they tell you about how horrible their husband was, and do you internalize their pain and feel their pain and start disliking men as well?
I mean, they say it, but that doesn't affect how I interpret it.
But I mean, you're a woman; you automatically follow everybody else, so that doesn't impact your following instinct.
You're about to get beat, Anson. She's only in West Virginia. You're not that far away.
Far enough.
Far enough. She'll run you over with that massive truck of hers.
Which one?
Which one?
Either. Any.
I'm gonna drop down. Thanks for having me up, guys. Y'all
hey,
stay
thanks,
safe,
Cleaner.
okay?
Thanks for being on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
I also really want to recognize the Trippy Cast raiders. Thanks for raiding Trippy Cast if you happen to be out there. But it is a very interesting thing. Kitty, you don't agree what? I'm trying to understand. I can't follow the chat very well. But
it's okay, Chris. It's okay.
What Kissy Cat? Now, and you do not have to answer this, but I do happen to know that you have been divorced. Did you try and take your friends with you, or were you like just kind of endured it alone?
I'm getting a phone call. I'll be right back.
Seriously?
By the bell.
That is such a girl thing to do. Oh my gosh.
She's pulling a grid.
That is so girl. So much girl. I did question where the femininity is gone, and it's right there. Taking a phone call. ZD Den, have you observed this type of thing go on?
Yeah. Well, I'm divorced once.
Oh, okay. I did not know that, ZD. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I got married at 21. I stayed with
Okay.
him for 14 years because
Oh, wow.
you stay with them, and he was an alcoholic. So, and there was no fighting that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You try to stick with it. You try to be there and be that person, but it comes to a point where you either save yourself or.
So I am actually gonna give a caveat to my earlier statement that women and kind of tacked on to what Abe said about when one woman gets divorced, they want everyone to go with them. I find that when women are going, are getting divorced because of abuse or alcoholism or something where the dude has just become a giant asshole, it's less, right? It's just, yeah. I don't think, I think because a lot of times the women just kind of retreat into themselves, and rather than when women are divorcing because, as Glenn says, they're just unhappy. They're not happy anymore in the marriage or whatever. They feel slighted somehow,
I think,
or whatever the reason is, and they really don't have a solid reason for getting divorced. I think then that's when you see them trying to take everybody else with them.
Sorry, I'm back. I started getting a call like as soon as you were talking to me, but no. Personally, I don't have many female friends anyway. Like I have one best friend that I've had since I was like 2 years old, and we're still best friends. But really, I could say that she's really my only like female friend or person that I talk to regularly. And she's married, happy, and when I have problems going on, I'm not gonna try to bring her down too. I think that's kind of weird.
Okay, and that checks out. Darth Maul, yes, indeed, the hot crazy Matrix does exist. It was shot not far from where I live, and it absolutely is real. It's real, guys. It's real.
Yep. And the fun side's the crazy side, y'all. So get on the crazy side, find some ladies.
But going back to that, sorry, I know that y'all might have moved on a little bit, but I was on the phone. I have seen that happen. Like I've had people tell me before that they have had friends do that. So
yeah,
so
it does happen.
Do you think, Kissy Cat, that it's post hoc rationalization where the women are leaving because they're not happy and they're trying to justify it to themselves and get consensus from their friend group to make themselves feel better about abandoning their commitment?
Well, in a way, yes, probably. I mean, people split for different reasons. We can't generalize everybody's situations, and I mean, y'all know that. Y'all are smart. But
some of us are smart.
Y'all are smart. But I would say that trying to get validation from your friends that like you're not crazy for doing what you're doing is probably a big part of it. And maybe the friends feel a little bit of pressure in that way. Like it's probably not an intentional thing from both parties, from both sides, but they are influenced by each other.
So you would agree then that it's because women are emotional thinkers instead of logical thinkers that it's actually a problem, because what you're describing is an emotional thinking methodology instead of a logical thinking.
Well, we all know that if everyone could think logically, we'd be in a better place, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a woman, so I don't know what it's like to be a woman trying to talk like a man. So maybe you could describe that a little bit.
I don't know. I think that like being in circles like this, you can kind of point out and call out the illogical behavior and illogical mindset a little better. When you're in an echo chamber of other women, you don't really see that everything is emotionally based.
Damn, that's a good take, actually.
Yep. She's one of them learned women.
Just super well put.
If you don't conform to the echo chamber, they tend to push you to the side as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you're either one of them and do as they do, or you're like.
This is why I have
ostracized if you get called a pick me. You get labeled as a pick me, and you know.
Yeah. Kissy Cat's not really a pick me. She's more like a pick up. Hey, Sarah the Raging Tomato. Sarah the Raging Tomato. Would you like to come up, Sarah? I'm only going to be up. I'm only going to be live for about another half hour, but yeah, it'll be cool.
ZB, I didn't realize that was you. Hey, girl.
Hey.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
So how Kissy Cat, I have to ask, you know, and look, you don't have to answer because I know
you have to ask. I don't have to answer, but if I don't answer, then
if you don't answer, we're going to be labeling you as a 304.
No. If you want to tell, you know, look.
If I don't answer, then my answer's apparent, right?
If you don't answer, we know you're a 304.
No, this is. I'm very curious about something. So, I know that you were married for some period of time. I'm not really sure how long. You got out of the marriage because it had turned neglectful or abusive or whatever. I'm not really, I'm not honestly, I don't remember what you told me. Not that I wasn't listening. It's just, I'm not that smart. But how long did it take you to get to the point where you just weren't putting any more in? Was it years? Was it months? Was it you did everything you could? I'm really curious about this from the female perspective.
Grant, I think the better question would be like, when did you start grieving the end of the relationship?
Ooh. Oh, that's a whole other subject. I'm asking when she decided to end it and go get the divorce.
That's the same thing.
She would have made that decision a year before, on average, is what the statistics say. So I'm just trying to figure out if it correlates.
I don't know. It was a long time. It was a long time.
How many times did you try to fix him?
Every day for years.
So you were nagging him?
No, I wasn't nagging him.
That sounds like nagging. That sounds obnoxious.
How is fixing something nagging like?
Well, it's a slow, painful death. It's a slow, painful death.
Mm-hmm.
It's how it's described. It's like they try to reason with them. They try to get them to see their point of view, and it keeps on getting pushed back. It gets to the point. It's a slow, painful death to the point where they're like, I got to change something. He's not going to change anything. Then that's when they start grieving the loss of this relationship that they
see. I would add to that. Yeah. Like, so you're trying to get them to change, but also you're internally changing. You're like, well, I can accept a little bit more. You're like, so you're pushing yourself back more and more to accept more and more because you don't want the failure. It's like, I see it as a big failure, and I don't like failure. So you're like convincing yourself to accept more and more.
Yeah. Okay. So Chronos says, well, he sent $5 to say, woman never fix a man. It's just how much will he allow for the meow?
That's coming at it from the point of the man doesn't need any correction, and that she's just nagging, so therefore it's her fault.
I think, I don't know. I think the Bible's right on this. I think that the kind, compassionate, quiet, prayerful wife who is showing the example and trying to win him over is better than the forceful, you've got to change in most cases. Although I'll say, if the man is in the wrong and the woman puts forward, look, I don't know if I can do this anymore if something doesn't change, sometimes that actually makes a difference too. So I think
you have to consider like external factors as well.
Comment.
Well, I don't want to, and I don't know if this applies to Kissy Cat's
Could you highlight
case,
Sarah's comment?
but did I miss Sarah's comment?
She didn't send a super, but she sent a comment that it's a good one.
Did I miss one?
She said we leave the relationship long before we actually walk away, and it's usually after we've exhausted all efforts.
That's true. That's true. I think women sometimes do that. I don't know that that's.
I think it's they do that on more often than they
probably true,
because it becomes a formality. That's why they say they'll say like marriage therapy is the last stop before toll, right?
Yeah,
because at that point they're basically going to the marriage therapist to do the breakup.
Yeah. Or to get validation for their point of view to make themselves feel better about breaking up. That was my experience.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I want to, again, I don't mean to super pry and drag out your personal life here.
He's about to drag out your personal life here.
No, actually, I think it's interesting to me that, I guess it's interesting to me that so many women put far more time and effort into, I don't want to say trying to fix, but trying to make it work with as a man turns into a drunkard or angry or whatever. The men would with women, right? Like,
it's a compassion thing, right?
Man, I don't know. I'm trying to.
It's a compassion thing. It's a shame. It's a shame component. It's a failure component.
Sure. Okay.
It's also the fact that the guy is not the guy that you knew he could be. So you want to stick it out because you see what he's capable of, and you're like, no, this is not him, and he could do better, and you just don't want to give up on that. So you will endure.
Or he was better.
Or he was better. Yeah.
Well, so it's pretty simple, right? So Glenn was saying that like there's situations where women divorce for like feeling better, like they want to divorce because it's their preference to divorce to make themselves happy, right? So the inverse of that is why are there valid reasons for divorce? And it's addiction, adultery, and abuse, and that's it. So if it's not any of those three things, then the woman is just breaking the relationship up because they're looking for greener pasture.
Sometimes people fall out of love.
Right.
Yeah, well, love's irrelevant in a marriage.
Well, sometimes people just want to fart into a Pringles can and then mail it to you.
Yeah. Well, that's
true.
That's
true.
Yeah,
we all know a person that's done that.
I think it's an interesting aspect to it because women do internalize it as a failure. I think more than men will, right? And
I think you're right.
Absolutely.
And so it is a more slow burn, right? Because look, we have two women here tonight with similar stories, and I think Sarah probably has a version of it. I think there's a lot of women with a version of this story, and it's
a lot of women make it up, Grid, though. They make up a version of the story to make themselves feel better, and they exaggerate it.
Greg, allow me to push back on you. Said like more women take it more as a failure. No, I think that's the other way around. I think men take it more as, oh, you can't keep your family together, you can't keep your wife together, you failed at a husband. Like guys get railed, because they failed to maintain a family. They failed at that job. That's their one job. You failed. So I think guys get hit a lot more societal wise and take it more personally. Why do you think guys end up offing themselves 3.5 times more than women after post-divorce?
I can see that, Glenn.
Give me a second on that one. Yeah, give me a second on that one, because when men typically leave, it's because, and I'm not saying when women come to us and say, "Hey, I just don't like your face anymore, get the fuck out." I'm talking about when if I were to leave my wife, it would be because of something like catastrophic, and I would feel like I failed in some way, right? And I think that I could see that most men would feel that way. But in that case, it would not be a slow burn, right? It wouldn't be years of watching someone, in some cases, years of watching someone turn from someone that is all for the and I hate to put words in women's mouths, but there's something else that goes there. But the man that they marry become someone completely different, or maybe that person was there all along and they just never saw it, and they stick it out. Some stick it out. Now, not all. I'm not. Look, certainly, I'm not. I understand that there are bad people on both sides, but it's just interesting to me, and again, I may be giving women too much credit on this one. Because I've just watched this from the sidelines. Right? I've never, I don't have that issue. The closest anyone in my family's had to that issue is that my stepdad at one point was drinking. Now, he wasn't being particularly abusive, but he was drinking a lot. And my mom told him that if he didn't change, she was going to leave him, and that would be the end of it. And he quit drinking and never drank again. Like he literally,
really good.
Till the day he died, he never drank.
So my stepdad was the opposite, man. Like my stepdad continued to drink until, he ain't around no more. If you
sure,
I don't think he did that.
It's a very interesting dichotomy. I think obviously all people are different and blah 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 and all that.
Well, he was the type of guy that would try anything you put in front of him. If you were like, "Hey man, let's smoke this crack," he would have been like, "Oh, okay."
Look,
not me.
Grid,
the guy he was.
You're giving women way too much credit, man. It's like the whole issue of like lining up the women and asking them how attractive they are, and all of them say 10, right? There's a little bit of
we don't all say that.
There's a little bit of self-deception in all women, and I have yet to meet a woman post-divorce, like talking to women, dating wise, that tell me that their ex-husband was a great man, but they just left them because they wanted to be happy. Every one of them. Every woman I've talked to has said, "Oh, my ex was abusive and mean to me, and he didn't do this and he didn't do that," because
he was a narcissist.
Yeah. There's so many narcissists out there for all of these divorced women. I feel sorry for every one of these divorced women because every one of them has apparently been married to the same asshole that I apparently am also. Right.
Well, I mean, in fairness, there are a lot of assholes out there. I've done.
And you can't generalize that. Come on.
Oh, I absolutely can, and I will.
I think humans are messy.
That's a very unfair take.
It is. Yeah, it's really unfair that women do that. I agree.
It's unfair that you're making that generalization.
I think humans are messy.
I left my husband after 14 years.
Well, I would say the same thing that guys do. Guys do the same thing. They're like, "Oh, she's some crazy bitch. Now she's
whores."
PTSD.
That's true.
Yeah. The guys do the same thing.
That's what I'm saying. Humans are messy. We all are victims.
Can I throw out kind of just something can I throw out something I observed recently, and Glenn just reminded me of it. I recently was talking to somebody, and it just came out that this dude was kind of it kind of came off as a drama dude anyway, right? But he literally was like, he raged about his ex for like a couple of hours.
Man.
All of this stuff that this woman had done to him, and he just could not get away with it. And it reminded me of another a friend of mine. I was telling Glenn about it when we were in Florida. So I had a friend of mine who actually believed that his ex baby mom, I guess, I mean, they lived together. I think they were
talking about the killer.
Yeah. That this woman was trying to kill him.
Oh,
and I'm like, and I always thought he was fucking nuts, but it turns out he had actually had some of the food in his house examined by some lab, and they did actually find crushed glass in it.
Holy shit.
Oh my gosh.
Delicious.
I mean, so sometimes the women really are crazy.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
It's not always the dude that is just like making shit up. Like,
Yeah, but it's like, and the same thing goes the other way. Sometimes those guys are those fucking psycho narcissists.
True.
That, just everybody has so charming that everybody likes, and like, oh, he can't be that way.
That was
It's every which way, man. It's every which way.
That was him.
Yep.
Yep.
That
Sarah straight up says women are crazy. We don't deny that.
Yeah, that's cap. They all deny it. That's cap.
Hey, Michelle is up in the house. What's up, man? We got a full house.
I got an experience none of you guys have.
Okay, go ahead.
One of my exes liked to lick my finger after I poked my finger for my blood check for my diabetes. She used to like to lick the blood off of my finger.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Every fucking time. It was a little bad. She'd suck on my finger. I'd be like, ow. Like, don't you know it already hurts?
That's pretty cool.
And she was also one of
He's not a crazy one.
Well, Angelina Jolie had a blood vial of Billy Bob Thornton around his neck. So beat that.
She also made out with her brother. But not only that, she was also a zit popper.
Did
Have
not
you guys ever
see
had
that coming.
the zit popper girl? You guys ever have her? Where she's like, oh, you got a zit on your back. Let me get that.
Yes.
No, I have not.
My ex liked doing that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I got her back pretty good because I popped a zit that was on my face and it hit her windshield. Oops. Yep.
Okay. All right.
That's real, man. It's real life from a cartoon.
Life is ugly sometimes, that's for sure.
Always wash your hands thoroughly before using them on your wife.
And cartoon zits are like way more exaggerated and dramatic. They splatter everywhere, harder to clean up.
And it wasn't even like the normal stuff that comes out of his zit. It was like chocolate pudding. It was.
You know what you need, Trippy Cast, is you need like a when people are just like when you're just exasperated and you just want to kind of like show that the panel just is not worth your time. You need a pin where you like pop your head and it explodes like a balloon in the air. Yeah,
I would have to figure out how that would work. I usually just use other sound effects. I got a bunch.
Gotcha.
I got one that screams "shut up." I used it a bunch of times today. I got different stuff. Oh man, I don't want to play anything. I know Sarah doesn't realize I did it, and she's out in the chat, so I get to tell on myself. I have a clip of wait, hold on. Is it Daffy Duck or is it Donald Duck? I think it's Donald Duck from the World War II propaganda video where he's saying "hail somebody," a lot. And I actually played that the last time I was on Sarah's, but I shut it off quick enough, I think.
I had a clip from Bugs Bunny where he's shooting engines.
Oh boy.
And it was a good one. I don't know what I did with it. I really should find it because it's hilarious.
I got this.
Couldn't say that. Could not do that on Saturday mornings now.
True. Tell me if you can hear this.
You know what I like the most?
Anything?
Yep.
Cake farts.
Yeah.
Cake farts. You gotta be a
It's a
certain kind of
clown.
internet
Such a
demon to know what
clown.
that is. Yeah. Oh yeah, man.
Anson
Sometimes.
knows.
Anytime I'm in
Anson.
the bedroom, all you hear is yeah.
That was actually funny. That was really
Actually?
good.
Oh, so averagely I'm not funny. I get it. Okay. Fine.
That was really good. Like that was really, really good.
Yeah, man. And I'm in there by myself.
Oh,
Yep. Just me and a sock.
oh my gosh.
Kitty, it's 5 a.m. So you're gonna get up to bed, or I'm gonna wake up tonight. Okay. All right. Well, have a great rest of your day, I guess, sleeping. And
country are you in? Jeez. You don't have to answer that.
She's in the UK.
No.
So yeah.
I was watching a video about the UK earlier. I wouldn't I won't drag the show down with what it was about.
But before the show ends, I have to ask, do you think New York City is ready for a Muslim mayor?
No.
Hell no.
Yeah.
We got one.
Crash and burn. Crash and burn.
Wait.
Destroy New York.
There's more statement that goes with that. He's an admitted communist.
Oh yeah, he is a
It's the
communist.
place where
Like
all
he's
dreams
legit
come true.
communist.
That's so crazy to me.
He doesn't even claim to be a socialist. He's straight up
Yep.
communist.
I've been keeping a small eye on it. I don't live out there, thank God. I live in the other commie state, you know. I live in Michigan.
He says
we have
he's
Gretchen
going
with-
to make New York more affordable. Who the hell wants New York more affordable? You go there to spend money and enjoy yourself and live like that for a moment.
I'm pretty
You know,
sure
the
New
interesting
Yorkers would
thing-
like to be more affordable. Wouldn't New Yorkers like it to be more affordable?
Well, the interesting thing is New York, like real estate there doesn't move. Like it like if you buy a place today, it's gonna be worth that in the same thing in like 3 years, but it doesn't, it never really truly appreciates. It's just stagnant. It's the worst market it's literally the worst market to try and make money in if you're trying to actually be a real estate guy.
Hey, I got to rage quit. Bye.
Okay, rage quit. No, that's not a proper rage quit.
Y'all suck.
Scream.
Same. Oh, she usually rage quits in silence.
Silent rage quit.
Such a letdown. Polite rage quitting. Seriously.
I know. Anson, I don't know how you're going to recover from that.
Turns to shit. Okay.
I'm sorry. I accidentally hit the space bar.
It's a good statement.
Yeah, I got a couple in there.
Yeah.
I got Joe Biden saying, "My butt's been wiped."
Sarah shoots back. Imperius has to say something weird, and Sarah comes back with, "Your dad, Imperius, if he ever comes back with the milk."
Oh shit!
Ooh, damn!
Now you
not
know
even
he left to
cigarettes,
get a
bro.
pack of cigarettes. No, we were
Not
doing
even
the same job.
cigarettes. He's straight up went out
You're
to
not
get the
supposed
milk.
to feed the animals.
That's cold blooded, man. That's cold blooded. I ain't gonna lie.
Is she wrong though?
She isn't wrong. The thing is that when Imperius was a baby, his mom just couldn't decide which end was up.
You know.
We all know. I don't really know, but I think I know.
Imperius is actually, sometimes Imperius is like kind of okay, but lately he's been extra spurgy. So
I don't know. I saw him on Jake Var the other day, and he was pretty composed. It was pretty
yeah, he
impressive.
can do that. The interesting thing is that I think it's not interesting. The troublesome thing is that I'm pretty positive that Imperius is why what's his name? Chaotic Truth got demonetized. And if that is in fact the case, he can't. We can't have him here, guys. I'm sorry. He can be in the chat, and then we just throw him out there. Sarah's also correct. He's only a good boy on panels when his mom is in the room. It's true.
Oh boy,
it's true.
I don't somebody like that. Yeah, I know how it feels.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why everybody's down on Imperius. He's an entertainment value. Aside from like the whole like possibly getting your channel canceled because he says stuff.
Other than getting you demonetized or nuked off of the internet. He's great. Yeah, that's
we call that Fed talk now. That's what we're gonna. What I refer to it as the Fed talk. Like the certain slurs and things that you're not supposed to say on streams. I'm just gonna call it all Fed talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like they're trying to hurt your channel.
In all fairness, CT always teeter-totters TOS. So
he encourages
Imperius it over the edge, but CT is always
Yeah, but I mean, he's Imperius has spurred hardcore on Sarah's panel, and Kat. I'm actually shocked that Kat's channel did not get nuked with some of the things that Imperius said over there. Which I mean, she's not monetized, so maybe that's
not monetized. Yeah,
not monetized, so that's probably the thing that's saving her. But
yeah, when she gets monetized, that's when her channel will get nuked.
Yeah. So I just and he's fine to be in the chat, and then we got good mods that'll take your shit down if it gets too out of line. But so
I got a little hater who can only say things to me in Rumble chat because of the way that he speaks when he says stuff, And I was like, maybe I should have him on the channel and we'll just argue live. And then I'm like, no, I'm monetized. So no, thank you. No.
Yeah. Yep. Well, it's getting about time for me to call it a night. So just really quick to kind of review tomorrow. What time are we doing that tomorrow, Glenn?
3 Pacific time.
3 Pacific. That's 5
your
o'clock
time.
Yeah, it should be fine. All right. So 5 o'clock, Glenn and I will be live discussing the
nihilistic
black pill
victim narrative.
Yeah, victim narrative. Yeah, that's it. So we're gonna talk about that. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Glenn sent me over like a wall of clips, which is, I mean, we are not gonna have time to get through all those. That's for sure.
No, I told you to pick your favorite ones.
Well, I don't have 8 hours. I don't have 8 hours to.
It's not 8 hours. It's like not even 4 hours. But
okay.
Only 4 hours.
Remember, Glenn, on a stream.
I said not even 4 hours.
Yeah, it's not even 4 hours if you stream it at 5 times speed.
It's like 2 hours, maybe.
So tomorrow, Glenn and I will be tackling a tough issue. Friday night will be the debate night. It is the Signal Syndicate will be live again. We will have cool debates with cool people in a format that doesn't suck.
Hell yeah.
So come out and try it out. Saturday night, we'll do a chill stream, kind of like this one, maybe even a little more chill. And, we'll see how it all lays out. Saturday night might start late because I've been going to the lake. I'm on the water by like 5:30, 6 o'clock. I usually come off the water around 9:30, 10 o'clock. So we may not start until 11 on Saturday because I will be on the lake. And I haven't yet mastered streaming from the boat, although I maybe I should try. And so that's what's coming up. And I'm also going to try and get something set up with Gia McCool in the near future. I'm hoping that will be either a Monday afternoon day shift show, or maybe I don't know, maybe Wednesday night. So we'll see how it works. IRL boat stream would be awesome. Let me check my internet. We'll see what we can make happen. Yeah. And other than that, Anson, any last words?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody who, saw me victoriously win my debate last night and came on the panel and told me how awesome I am for dominating in that debate, and just how great I am, and it's a pleasure for y'all to be in my presence, and I want to thank you and welcome you to Grid's show on Friday night.
Anson, I was the only one that said that.
Yeah, well, I mean, like everybody else is saying it. They're just in the chat using different words that are similar, but not that.
Everybody else in the chat says Beth won.
Yeah, but that's code, right? They're trying to spare her feelings. But thank you, Grid, for having me on here.
You're very welcome, Anson. You and your delusion are always welcome. Abe, let's hear it, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I would say to everybody out there, be better humans and God bless.
Also, Abe has a channel and he would love you to go there and watch it so that he one day can get monetized and be a cool streamer like everyone else.
Yeah.
So please go to Abe's channel.
That's what I'll have to sub myself there. I saw I'd seen Abe before. I thought he was bigger than me or had a bigger sub. You know what I meant to say.
Yeah,
Glenn, I don't know if he's
bigger
than me or not. Let's draw him out and we'll compare. Never mind.
Glenn, throw it out there, man.
Throw what out there?
Your
unzip.
No,
no, not that. No.
Your final thoughts, my man.
There you go.
He's got all his final thoughts. Read his book.
Yeah,
be cool. Buy his book. Read his book. Be cool. All right, Tina. How about you? You got any final thoughts? Final words? Final whatever?
Yeah, to any of you out there that have been taken to the cleaners by one of these crazy women, just know that you built it once and you can build it again. So just get out there and pick up a shovel.
Yeah, that's good. That's Trump-like. Like it. All right, Trippy Cast, last man standing.
All right, I'll just use the final words of. Am I doing final words?
Yeah, your final words. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll just use the immortal words of my friend Willie Cogley, who likes to say,
"Joke's on you. I got a tiny wiener."
That sounds like Glenn Lawrence. Where did you get that?
Really? That's my buddy Will Cogley. If he sounds like Glenn at all, it would be the most stoner version of Glenn that you've ever known.
It sounds like Glenn if he were like in that movie Baked.
Dude, my buddy Will has literally taken a hit off of a nitrous tank from a car in front of me, and I'm like,
that's not
you
good.
Sure you should be doing that, dude? And he's like, oh, it's fine.
He's
the kind of guy.
That's not how that works.
He was in my Discord one day on camera, and he goes, check out my knives, and he starts juggling them, and he dropped one through his foot, and then he showed us all it on camera. He goes, it's in my foot. And I was like, do you need to call the doctor or the hospital? He's like, nah, just pull it out. It'll be fine.
You know, that actually reminds me of something. I had a friend of mine, and I was in first year of college, and I was taking guitar, and my guitar instructor and I kind of hung out a little bit, and some of the other dudes. We were at this dude's apartment one night, a bunch of chicks there. I'm only there because of the chicks. I'm not really paying attention to anything else. And all of a sudden, my guitar instructor, it was like just getting louder and louder. And he was, was like flipping this knife around, and it was like really cool. And his brother was sitting in a chair, and he says, hey man, let me see that. And he's like, yeah, okay. And he threw it, and it stuck in dude's leg, like to the bone. Like,
yeah.
And he like looks down at it and he's like drunk. And he looks down at it for like a solid minute. And then he's like,
wow.
"Oh!"
You just felt that.
And it did like hit him like, holy shit, this is bad. And
Jeez, dude.
yeah, and we ended up having obviously had taken him to the emergency room and blah blah blah, you know. But he had a knife stuck in his leg, and that was kind of odd. I'm gonna redirect everybody to Rob Knorr, who is live right now. And
yeah,
right, it is messed up, right? Screaming Beagle, like, but he was drunk, like he's drunk, and the guy's like, "Yeah, let me see that. Can I see that? Yeah, sure." And he just throws it, like stuck in his leg.
Yeah, like you could have closed it or handed it off, like shit.
Right. I mean, why would you do that? You know, it's a knife. You throw it. I mean, we all throw knives at each other, right?
I guess my real dad and his brother used to do crap like that, and they'd play 5-finger fillet. Just be, stab between the fingers.
No, I don't do that.
Oh yeah, they were kind of crazy.
Yeah,
I
hadn't thought about that in years, man. And you just talking about that, just like just stupid drunk things.
Yeah,
so
they weren't even drunk though. My dad did not drink, and he would do that shit so much.
I don't drink. That's why I remember all of this stuff, is because I don't drink.
Yep,
I literally talked to people I went to college with, and I'm like, "Hey, you remember that time we did this?" And they're like, "No,
nope,
I don't remember that."
Of course not. I don't drink. I don't do the weeds no more. Like I'm totally sober.
Absolutely.
Except for nicotine.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Trippy Cast. You've been cool. Everybody's been cool. I've got to go get a couple hours of sleep before I take my kid to the airport.
Been cool too.
And you guys, we will be. I'm forwarding you guys over to Rob Norris. So go have fun and talk to Rob or listen to Rob talk, whatever. And we'll see you tomorrow afternoon, 5:00 Central Time. Glenn and I will making it happen. In the meantime, as always, be cool, wear glasses if you need them, and get off my lawn.